Thank you.
Have you brothers discussed already what the format is going to be or what?
Well, the format, I'm gonna have to first, as a way, I just need approval from my side to go ahead. So once I get that approval, then inshallah we'll continue from there, and we'll discuss the duration.
Oh, so what, you're
Approval
waiting
on
on...
what? Are you doing the debate or the format?
The format will be discussed
Brother
after.
Brother Jake, there was a lot of discussion about the debate and the format, and all the goalposts have been moved by our brother Uzayr and his group. So
Yeah,
we're
but
just
listen what I'm saying, brother. Let's forget about all the other nonsense. We already talked about that for the past hour. Okay, let's just settle on what is actually going to happen now. There's no sense in talking about what these discussions were, a text message and phone call. It's not going to help anything.
I get that. I'm just saying he's coming up to a conclusion on the timing. And just give it a second. It's not going to be
Yeah,
too long.
just as while he's going forward with the timing, it's only fair I come as well and I make a suggestion because it's supposed to be a fair debate. One Sunni, one Shia, one Sunni mod, one Shia mod. I'll come forward with my timing. I would propose that we have, okay, um, 5 minute opening statements each, and then after that we have.
Nah, mate,
Hold on,
nah.
Bear,
It's
this
not
is
gonna work like
ridiculous.
that, my
Hold
friend.
on, Bear, you
If you're
haven't
gonna
even
debate
decided
me,
your
it's
own
not gonna be
timing.
5 minute opening
Moderators,
speech.
can you guys deal with this interruption? Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. But how about
He
this?
hasn't.
Just let him say what he thinks, and then you can respond with what you think.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I would propose that we have each 5 minute introduction. Obviously, I'm starting. I did agree to this on the phone. And if he denies it, Allah is his witness, no problem.
He's lying.
And then, La ilaha, this guy has no shame. No problem.
Do a mubahala right now with me,
I'm
if I'm
doing a
lying or not.
mubahala right now. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'll do it in
I'm not
English.
first
May
the
Allah
liar who said
subhanahu
that
wa
I
ta'ala,
said
yeah, may
five
Allah
minute
subhanahu wa
introduction.
ta'ala, hold on one second. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroy and torture and put his la'an, his curse and his iqab and all of these things on the person who is lying. And he knows it's on a phone call. It
Okay,
was on a phone call. So I can't bring
I'm
forth
gonna
speech.
take a picture of your WhatsApp message right now. You just done land on yourself.
All right, let's
La ilaha illallah. Okay,
hold
no
on,
problem.
brothers Isaiah.
No,
Hold on
no,
one
I
second.
haven't even given my time, LRX. This isn't fair. He came and
Hold on.
interrupted. Let me give my
Please
times.
hold
Let me
on
give
one
my
second.
times.
Hold on, Isaiah. Let's give him a chance until he's ready. Just take a moment to chill. It's not gonna kill you to wait a couple of minutes. Please refrain from incendiary comments and insults. Let's have a civil debate that's intelligent and understanding. When we call on you, when we call on either one of you to talk, please go ahead and talk. Until then, keep yourself muted. Is that fair, Jake?
Yeah, and I'm requesting from both sides to just
So I'd
forget
like
about
to
the
bring to your
stuff
attention
that
my
people
profile picture.
aren't.
And this was based on the condition that there was going to be two interlocutors. He said that I agree to 5 minutes. Now, please tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what do you see in my profile picture?
Okay, thank you.
So, do you do lana on yourself? Do you accept you just did lana on yourself?
Okay, thank you. Notice now, and I
So,
wouldn't be
I'm not going to
surprised.
agree to any time discussion with you, my friend. It's going to be minimum right now 30 minutes.
Okay. Notice now, ikhwan, and if you do interrupt me again, then I'm just gonna forward it to the mods. I gave you two chances. This is your last one. Now, notice, brothers and sisters who are listening in, how what we did the Mubahala earlier on, and it's really a shadow of what original Mubahala should have been. What we did the Mubahala on was who was starting. In true Bay'atul Ghadeer fashion, he shifts the goalpost from what? From who's starting to the times of the debate. That was what the. And if we have fishbone memory, then imagine everybody's going to forget. We can bring people up and see who's lying. One. Two. The timing that you originally suggested, I don't necessarily disagree with that you brought forward. and I brushed it aside, or I maybe even agreed with it. But that's besides the point. Now we've brought forth the moderators. The moderators, we can forward our suggestions to them and we can discuss. You haven't even made certain the own message that you've sent forward. Yes, the message that you've sent forward. Now you're saying, no, I haven't confirmed it. If you're really a man, stick to your guns and stick to that recommendation. But I would suggest, okay, because now it's completely different format to what we actually agreed on. It's no longer 3 versus 3 or 2 versus 2. It's 1 versus 1. So we can يعني move aside what the technicalities of the participants and the length. We can move that aside because it's already been brushed aside in many aspects. We can move this aspect aside and suggest to the moderators. I suggest, now don't interrupt me, Bayat, is each, okay, 5 minute opening statements, and then we have 4 minutes, okay, where four times where each person makes their own 2 minute statements. Okay, so I make one, he makes one, I make one, he makes one. Then we go into a back and forth cross yani section where we have like a 10 minutes, and then we can maybe bring up people for Q&A, or we can ask. Actually, I would say we ask each other questions, and then after we've answered each other's questions straightly, we move on to the end of the debate, and then we can move on to maybe people in the audience if they have questions or anything like that. That's what I suggest. Now, Bay'atul Ghadeer, if you suggest anything otherwise, or if you've become certain and not uncertain, then do come forward.
All right, Bay'a, what do you say about his suggestion? He's saying a 5 minute introduction, 4 rounds of 2 minutes, and then 10 minutes of back and forth, and then closing arguments. Are you okay with that, Bay'a?
No, I need 30 minutes roughly to do my introduction.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, you want a 30-minute opening statement for yourself?
Yes, if this is a debate, I want it as a debate format. So 30 minutes introduction, 15 minutes cross-examination, and then we get into rebuttal rounds. If you want to do a debate, my friend, you do debate properly.
I
Is that
just
a
had a formal debate earlier, and that's not typically the way it goes. Usually, it's the opening statement, and then rebuttals, and then the cross examinations are after the rebuttals, and then you have closing
So
statements.
we can do 30 minutes introduction each. That introduction will essentially be to prove your concept of leadership from the Quran. The introduction cannot be used as a means to refute the opponent. That's the first point. The
Yeah,
second
that's
point is
obvious.
that's how it works anyway. After the introduction, we'll go into 15 minutes cross examinations. Then we followed by 3 questions from each side.
I mean, if you want to agree to that, Uzayr, that's fine. But to me, usually as I said, the cross examination comes after the rebuttal because you should be given a chance to respond to the person's opening statement before you get questioned on it. That's how it goes. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's up to you guys. If you want to do it that way, it's not my debate.
If we're going to do a debate, we do it probably. This is ridiculous. If we came here for a lecture, we can close this room, open a new one on a lecture, isn't
My
it?
debate conditions,
Bay'at,
yes or
do not
no?
interrupt me and close your mic. Now, pushed back on this first point is that it's way too long. It's not an introduction, it's a lecture. I mean, what kind of introduction is this? Secondly, I challenge your claim that this is a quote unquote proper debate. No, it's not. Okay. This isn't a proper debate. This isn't how debates are held in the academic realm. And I say we shorten it because if we were discussing something like Muawiyah, okay, radiallahu an, a very deep topic with many evidences, many points and counterpoints and allegations, 100% I would shake your hand that we have a 20, 30 minute intro because it's a very deep topic. But this isn't a very deep topic, Habib.
Listen, stop giving lectures. I don't care. Are you going to accept my 30 minutes introduction? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, then the debate's not happening.
So you're not willing to have the debate unless you have a 30-minute opening. That's
Yeah,
what
I
you're
need a
saying.
30-minute opening speech.
And my brother, is it really
Let,
reasonable
let
to
me.
hold on? Let me ask you something. Is it reasonable to expect Brother Ozair to speak for 30 minutes with no
Well,
preparation
obviously,
whatsoever?
my brother, listen, if he's got no concept of leadership from the Holy Quran, then he's got something to worry about.
Yeah, but you're asking him to speak for 30 minutes off the cuff. He had no preparation for an
Well,
opening
that's fine.
statement.
He doesn't need to speak for 30 minutes. He can present his arguments as long as he needs to present it. I need
Moderator, can
30
I come in
minutes.
if you don't mind? Mod. Okay, thank you. Bayat, if you're going to pull the plug simply because I'm not gonna, يعني, uh, concede to your ridiculous propositions. I think it's an insult to call this something you would propose. This isn't even a proposal. Then
Listen, my friend, are you going
please,
to
no,
have
I
a
don't.
debate or
Please,
not?
I have to go. Don't, don't.
Excuse
Then
me.
please,
Let me
no, I'm not gonna
suggest.
concede. I'm not gonna
Isaiah,
concede on this. This is
Isaiah,
ridiculous.
please mute yourself. Please. Let me suggest an alternative. Let's do two introductions of about 10 minutes, one per person. So they talk for 10 minutes in an introduction. Then the rebuttal of 45 minutes where they go back and forth for 3 minutes each. Then a cross examination of 45 minutes for 3 minutes each. And then closing arguments in 10 minutes. Uzair, are you okay with that?
Or Bayat, sorry, I mean,
Look,
Uzair, there is another option. We do two and
the
two.
moderator has just asked me a question. Respect your sharing mod and close your mic. Thank you. Now, the moderator has given this proposal. I'm not necessarily opposed to being flexible on the timing. But I would push back and maybe say 8 minutes or something like this. I think 10 minutes is slightly over. But if you do bring a good reason, I honestly wouldn't mind going up to 10 minutes. But Bayaz, even one of the moderators came out and said a fellow يعني Sunni Muslim, an academic himself who's been in this field for years,
Isaiah, please
yeah, he's come forward and said
refrain
this.
from. Please, we're trying to have an intelligent
I
debate.
haven't insulted
Stop
Mod. I would
trying.
appeal.
Please, I'm talking. Please stop trying to throw stones at your opponent because that's not helpful to the debate.
Okay, no problem. I do
So,
apologize. I
so
retract
you
that statement.
presented.
Yeah. I haven't
Thank you.
finished, Mod, if you don't mind.
So
I do
you
retract that
presented.
statement. Moderator, I haven't finished. Please do let me finish. I do retract that statement. If any stones were thrown, we take those stones back. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is when Bay'atul Ghadeer suggests 30 minutes just for an introduction, this is no longer an introduction. This is actually rivaling a
All right,
Friday Jumu'ah
we
sermon.
move past
Thank
this
you.
point. There's a suggestion on the table for 10 minutes each. You said you wanted to be 8. We're saying 10. Bayat, are you okay with 10, or do you need more
Nah,
time?
that's
Or what?
I need more, my brother. You know what? There is another possibility. We keep to the original debate structure as we agreed, and bring someone else from your side.
I don't
Would
understand
that?
what's the relevance of the debater as to what the format is. Can you explain
We
that?
can do we can do 2 on 2.
Yeah.
No, but
No,
my
Bay'ah,
question to you is, brother, why do you need 30 minutes for him, but 10 minutes for somebody else? I don't understand.
Because then the debate structure will be changed. That's not for you to be worried about, my bro.
Well, it is because I'm here. Everybody's waiting for the debate to happen. We're trying to
Yeah.
track
So
what
of
you're
course,
saying, my friend.
so as I said, in order for me to introduce the topic, it will take me approximately 30 seconds. Sorry, 30 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but my question to you is, how would that change in
Right.
virtue of who you're debating? Now, all of a sudden, it would only take 10 minutes?
Okay, no problem. I can reduce I can reduce the time slightly. We can do.
I do push back, if you don't mind. First and foremost, the
Okay,
main
so
thing,
he's moved it down to 20 minutes. And if you want to respond, go ahead, brother.
yeah. So first and foremost, okay, he's made the claim that I agreed to the structure, um, that 10 minutes and all that. If you look at the message, I can take a screenshot right now, but I don't need to
All
do that.
right,
You
we
can look
moved
at it.
past these
But
messages.
secondly,
Please
fine,
stop
fine, fine.
going
I don't want
back
to
to
say
the
that.
messages.
Yeah.
No,
We don't,
stop.
because he brought it.
Uzayr,
No,
please.
LRX, I think it's unfair when
Uzayr,
Bayat brings it, your Shi'i friend.
We said we're past that point. We want to
Yeah,
move
okay,
forward.
fine,
We don't
fine.
want to go
Okay,
back.
thank you.
So now
Okay,
he's
thank you.
asking
Yeah.
for 20 minutes. It's not your
Okay, let me
question.
respond.
It's
Okay,
not for
thank you.
you to question him. Do you accept his suggestion or not? We keep going in
Okay, let
circles,
me.
going back.
Yeah,
So,
no, okay, fine. He did make a claim on me, LRX, but no problem. I'm not allowed to address the claim. I won't address the claim if I'm not allowed. With regards to what he proposed, 20 minutes is still far too much. I do think it's bordering on a lecture there. And I would say, as an introduction, yes, an introduction, those are the words he used, it should be reduced. I'm not going to budge on this. I already moved up to 8 minutes. I will not budge any further. Bay'a, if you want to pull the plug on this because of the intro, tafaddal. What's your response?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to go down. I need minimum 20 minutes for this one. So,
So let me make a suggestion. You're at 10 minutes. He's at 20. How about 15 minutes?
No, I already moved up. He hasn't moved to even a reasonable point, and I don't want to call it ridiculous. I shouldn't have said that.
I know,
But
but
I
brother,
already moved.
listen, honestly, just give him extra 5 minutes. What is he going to do? Really?
Yeah, no, but
You don't have to talk for 15 minutes if you don't want to.
yeah, but to be fair, I do think that it's going to be way too long at that point, especially from his side. I don't even think I'll need that time. I'll go on for 8 minutes and give the rest of sadaqah to him. But I do think it will be even way too long for this, and then people will get bored. I won't enjoy it. It'd be too many points for me to respond to. It would just be, and even you were distasteful with it, moderator Jake. I do think 15 minutes is
Well,
more than
30
reasonable.
minutes, yeah, 30 minutes I think is ridiculous. To be quite honest with you, I think 15 minutes is reasonable. I, I mean, I just had a debate literally today, earlier, in which me and my debate opponents' opening statements were 15 minutes. So I do think that's reasonable. But if he wants to stay at 20 and 30 minutes, no, I think that's a bit much, especially on short notice. There's been no
yes, but it's
preparation.
not our position to dictate to them what they agree to. We're making suggestions. So we cannot just tell them, this is what I did and this is what you're supposed to do.
Well, I'm explaining to
Bayat,
him
are you
when
okay?
he's saying that 15 minutes is too
I get
long.
it. I get it. Bayat, there is another suggestion of 15 minutes. Is that sufficient or not?
just give me a few minutes to think about this one.
No problem. I appreciate the time of everybody coming to the room. I appreciate everybody agreeing. Thank you, Jake, for helping moderate. Thank you for Uzayr for your patience. Thank you, Bayat, for your patience. I appreciate everyone in the audience as well. Um we respectfully decline to invite anyone to the
Yeah, I was
audience
just
out of
gonna say,
respect.
guys, I just actually turned the function off because we're not having anybody up here. This is a debate with only two people and two mods. That's how it's gonna be. After the debate is totally over, then we can open it up for people who want to maybe discuss on what happened in the debate if it happens, inshallah. But right now, no, we're not having anybody up here. Sorry, guys.
Bea, you still come to a conclusion?
Just give him a chance, brother. I really appreciate your patience. It's not going to be too much longer.
Inshallah, inshallah. He did say 2 minutes, so I got my eyes on the clock.
Yeah, let's do this, brother. 15 minutes.
Okay, I'll start,
One.
Okay,
inshallah.
So
so we got the,
bear in mind, straight after this discussion, we're going to go to Sahaba from the Quran as well.
today. You're saying.
You agree? Today. And I don't want no break. I don't want no break. We're going to start straight
What are you
after.
talking about? Bayat, you just said earlier 1 hour break. Now you're saying no break. You said 1 minute,
You
one
want
minute.
hour, 1 hour break?
This is ridiculous.
You're gonna reduce the time. You're gonna make that.
A 30-minute debate.
No, I said 30-minute break.
You agreed to 1 hour. You're contradicting yourself.
No, you need to reduce the time for the break. I don't want it that long interval. I want to go straight into the next
Are
debate,
you are
pretty
you
much.
unsure of
So
yourself? You know what you're doing because you're
No,
contradicting.
Uzayr, excuse
Okay,
me
no
for one
problem.
second. You guys have changed the rules. I'm not pointing fingers at either one. The rules have changed continuously throughout the conversation. Bayat, we have been here for an hour and 30 minutes debating the format and the conditions which had been agreed to previously, but that's in the past. So now he wants to continue from one debate to the other. Why do you feel that you need an hour? Like, are you going to go have dinner or what? Why do you need an hour?
So did you ask me?
Yes, brother, I'm asking you. I mean, he wants to continue from the first debate, give you maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then start the new one. I don't
Well, he
see a
said
problem
30
with that.
minutes. He said 30 minutes. So if you want to
I
take
said
30 minutes,
bring it down to 30 minutes.
yeah, he
One
said
hour is
30
too long.
minutes. That's fine.
I agree. That's fine with me too. Isaiah,
Uzair, you agree to that?
A 30-minute break?
yes.
Um, yeah, why not? Why not? If you don't mind me asking, what is the title of the debate of this second one?
The concept. No, the first one's obviously the concept of Imamah from the Holy Quran, right?
Yeah, he's asking what's the title of the second one.
The second one's the concept of Sahaba from the Holy Quran.
I do disagree with the first title. I'm saying Shia Imamah from the Quran versus Sunni Khilafah from the Quran. We don't use the type Imamah. I've told you that
So
5 times.
I'm going to define our concept from the Holy Quran. You can define your concept from the Holy Quran, right?
The definition from the Holy Quran. That's not what you said earlier.
No, I said to you, I'm going to go into the concept of Imamah, the Shia concept of Imamah from the Holy Quran. That's what we're
Hold on,
debating, aren't we?
hold on, hold on. No, 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 no. You said in front of everybody here that you were going to work off those 7 conditions that I sent to you. You said,
No, I'm
I
not.
said,
I
approve
said
them
to you,
all
I will
and
cover those. No, listen to me. I said I will cover those 7 points as well. Don't worry about that.
Jake, were you there?
You
You
don't
were
worry.
there as the mod. He said, I'll prove them all and more.
Yeah,
Did
I
you not
said
say?
even more. I
Yeah,
said this. So yes, so I will cover
yeah,
these
he's,
points as well.
No, not cover them, prove them.
My friend, I would need each debate. I need one debate on each topic then.
This is ridiculous. He never said that earlier. Jake, you're the
No,
witness.
no, no, no,
Me
no. I
and me and
said
Bilal
I
will
will
mute
prove.
ourselves.
I will
Bilal, mute
prove
yourself.
these 7 points.
I'm gonna mute myself. Let's ask the mod who was there from the beginning. And I remember inviting him up. Jake, what did I say? What did he say?
I mean, you're saying prove, he's saying cover, to be quite honest. I don't remember the exact word used. But I mean, what's the relevant difference, I guess? I assume when he means cover, he's going to attempt to demonstrate that that's what's there.
Exactly.
Okay, then if you're gonna attempt to demonstrate them, and if that's what you meant by cover, then yalla, this is again semantics. So I
Well,
look
that's what
forward
I'm
to how.
saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a major difference.
No problem. If he's gonna prove these,
So hold on. Here's the other thing I want to get correct. Whatever you guys agree upon for the format of the first debate, you're going to have the identical format for the second debate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree on that. Okay. So after the 15-minute opening, what's the next step? What are you doing after that?
so here's what he said earlier. I don't know if you're gonna stick to the earlier statement because it had 15-minute uh intro. So Bea, are you gonna stick to what you sent me earlier, or what do you want?
Sorry, what was that? Can you just repeat that? I didn't hear you.
So what? Okay, forget it. What are you thinking for the actual statements in between? How do you want to structure it?
So he's asking about the rebuttal after the introduction and the cross examination. Do you want five uh 5 rounds of 6 minutes each still?
I suppose we could do 5 rounds of 6 minutes. Yeah, that's possible. We can even reduce that, to be honest with you. I think
Okay.
6 minutes is a bit long. 3 minutes.
How about 5 minutes? 5 rounds of 3 minutes each.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Jose, are you okay with that?
No, I'm not going to contest that. I don't have an issue.
Okay. And then the cross examination would be 4 rounds of 3 minutes of 3 minutes each as well.
No, so I was saying 15 minutes intro speeches, 5 minute
Yeah,
rebuttals, five rebuttal rounds, 3 minutes each, and then we can
I
maybe
get that.
finish on, and
So
then we can
after the
finish, and
rebuttal,
then we can finish on a 5 minute outro.
after
Okay,
the
so you don't.
rebuttal, after the rebuttal, they want a cross examination, meaning that you two discuss issues for a period of time.
Then it's gonna go on too long, especially if we want two debates.
Uh, well, if you do 15 minutes and 5 rounds of 3 minutes each, that's 45 minutes. And then we put 30 minutes of cross examinations and then closing arguments. That would be approximately like 2 hours.
Yeah,
Now
what about
we need to reduce it. What about 15 minutes each, 5 rounds each, right? 3 minutes, 3 minutes, and a 5 minute outro, because otherwise it's going to be way too long.
10 minutes cross examination for each person? So that's 20 minutes extra.
What do you think, Bayat?
I mean, I don't mind, to be honest with you. Whatever you guys think. Well, it's up to you
I
lot.
think I
Okay.
think there should be direct interaction, but that's just my perspective.
How long did you
Same.
say for the cross examination, Jake?
I said 10 minutes. For example, Bayar can have 10 minutes
Okay.
to cross examine him, and he
Or
has
we do
10 minutes to cross examine him. 20
or
minute total.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
No, 10 minutes
I think
each.
Okay,
10
10
minutes is
minutes.
better, brother,
10
to be
minutes then.
honest with you.
Okay. And then 5 minute outros.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Jose, are you okay with this format?
I don't have an issue.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's to be clear, it's 15-minute opening each, 5 rounds of 3 minutes each, two 10-minute cross examinations each, and then 5 minute closings for each person. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. So who's going first?
Uzair is going to
I'll
go
go.
first. No,
Yeah.
Uzair, you're going to go first.
I
Okay.
couldn't hear
Uh,
you because you guys are
Before we
talking
start,
over each other.
Uzair's going first, isn't he? Because he's the one who obviously has an issue with.
okay.
Anyway,
Are
but
you
yeah,
agreeing
Uzair's
with
going.
that, bro, or what?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, fine.
All
Okay.
right. Jake, you're gonna do the time.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Actually, I got my timer here. I'm gonna start at 15 minutes. And if you want to concede some of your time, that's up to either one of you. If you don't want to go for the full 15 minutes, you don't have to. What I'll do is I'll when it gets down to about the 5 minute mark, I'll let you know that it's at 5 minutes, and then at 1 minute I will announce it again, and then if it runs out and you're still talking, I'll stop you. Sound good?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. But I do want to add one thing. If the interlocutors do wish to request, they say, an additional 1 or 2 more minutes to finish their statement and add it to the opponent's time, is that an issue with any three of you?
Sorry, what do you
It's
mean?
up to you
Additional?
guys.
So, say for example, I'm making a statement and I find that I've run out of time and I request an additional 2 minutes and then add that 2 minutes to Bay'at's time to make it fair. Does anybody have an issue with this?
That's up to him. I don't.
Bay'at?
It should be okay, bro. If you need to finish off your point, as long as you don't go for like another 5, 10 more minutes, should be all right.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
All right.
So,
We're off. You Jake, you call out the time when they have like 5 minutes or
Yeah, and
when they
then
have
1 minute.
30 seconds. Just let them know.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
let him know at 1 minute, 5 minutes, and then 1 minute. Well, for the shorter rounds, I'll probably do it at like 30 seconds. But yeah.
Okay.
Wait, one second.
So
Let me.
when you start speaking, I'm gonna start the timer, brother. What did
Okay,
you
yeah, I'm
say?
just gonna pull out a pen, so I can actually write down his points when he makes the points. So,
Yeah. Go ahead.
okay, one second, Ikhwan. Sorry.
And also, brothers, when the person is speaking, this is a time to debate. Unless it's during the cross-examination section, you have to keep your mic on mute and don't interrupt. I'm sure you guys are aware of that. Otherwise, if it gets out of hand, it's just going to unravel. So let's try to keep your mics muted when it's not your turn to speak, unless during the cross-examination section, obviously, that's when there's interaction.
Okay, with that, I'd like to start my uh, statement, introduction. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wa ala ashabihi ajma'in. Okay, so today we've gathered here, brothers and sisters, to have a discussion on the Sunni concept of Khilafah and the Sunni concept of Khilafah and the Shia concept of Imamah. First and foremost, I want to start by saying, from the get-go, this is a false equivocation. Why? Because our concept of Khilafah isn't from Usul al-Din, isn't from the foundation, whereas the opponent's concept, it is from the Usul al-Din, from the get-go. Meaning that if I change models slightly, it's not necessarily an issue for me, as I'll demonstrate going into my statement. Okay. Now, first we need to understand that one thing can happen. Okay, from the Quranic point of view, an event can occur, and in one aspect the causer is person X, and in another aspect the causer is person Y or individual Y. And it'll be crucial for my statement, as you guys see, going into it. Now, let me give an example. If you go to 32:21 or 32:11, sorry, it says, "Allahu yatawaffa al-anfusa hina mawtiha." Okay, that say, O Prophet. Sorry, actually, that's the wrong verse, but it says, "Say, O Prophet, your soul will be taken by the angel of death."
Sorry, can you
Okay,
quote the verse, please?
chapter 32, verse 11. Say, O Prophet, your soul will be taken by the angel of death, who is in charge of you, so on and so forth. Next verse, 39:42. Allah takes away or fully takes away the souls of the people at the time of their death. Now, if you're going to challenge when it says يَتَوَفَّى الْأَنفُسَ, then you read on the verse, it says وَالَّتِي لَمْ تَمُتْ. And as for those who don't die, it goes on and on. So it's clearly this one is the ones who die. So in one aspect of the Quran, you find that Allah is taking the soul. And in another aspect, you find that the angel of death is taking the soul. Do we say this is a contradiction? Oh Shia, oh Sunni? No, never. What do we say to address this? We say in one aspect, the angel of death comes and takes your soul when your time comes. But in another sense, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created and facilitated for that angel of death to even take it in the first place. And through the angel of death, Allah is taking your soul. So we say these two aren't mutually exclusive. Now, from the now, with regards to our model as Ahlul Sunnah, we make the claim that in one aspect, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed the leader, and in another aspect, it didn't. So my opponent proving, okay, that there's divine appointment in the Quran does not disprove our model. In one aspect, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints the leader, and in another aspect, the people do shura, and they appoint the leader. Okay. How can we prove this? Well, you find in the Quran, if you go to chapter 3, verse 26, what does it say? It says, say, O Prophet, Allah, Lord of all authorities, you give authority to whoever you will. Al-Mulk. Al-Mulk, I don't know why they translated it as authority, kingdom, okay, kingship, to whoever you will, and you remove it for whoever you want, and so on and so forth. So Allah is being the one who's giving kingdom here. Meaning in one aspect, Allah is giving kingship. Okay. Now, first we need to establish shura as a foundational model. Okay, so let me actually pull up my verses here, if you guys don't mind. Just give me literally 2 seconds. I haven't finished my time. I have a lot to go into. Moderator, how much time do I have?
You have plenty of time. You have more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, you've got 11 minutes, brother. You got plenty of time.
Okay. So here it is. So if you go to chapter 2, verse 233, what does it say? It mentions that in this passage, when there's a child and a mother and the father, and with regards to raising the child, and if they have an issue with raising the child, I'd actually pull the verse up actually verbatim, um, just so I'm not butchering the Quran. Verse 223, 1 second. What does it say? It says, um, your wives are like, 1 second. I think I've brought the wrong verse. I think it's 233. This 1 second. Yes, 233. It's not 223. So chapter 2, verse 233. What does it say? It says, divorced mothers will breastfeed their offspring for 2 years. As for those who wish to complete the nursing of their child, the father will provide the reasonable maintenance and clothing for the mother. No one will be charged with more than they can bear. No mother or father should be made to suffer for their child. The father's heir are the son's heir, but if both sides decide after mutual consultation, Arabic word shura, so on and so forth, the verses go on. So here we find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying for something as crucial as the child's upbringing, which spills over to their akhirah actually, because a righteous upbringing leads to when the angels come and they make decisions for our deeds, okay? They, what do you call it? This actually, a righteous upbringing leads to that point where you have a righteous adulthood and so on and so forth, crucial to what deeds you'll be even recording, okay? The deeds that will be even recorded, Allah is saying do shura over that. Something that has to do with the akhirah. Another verse, okay, is, 1 second. If you go to chapter 3, verse 159. So let's pull that up. Chapter 3, verse 159. 1 second. Chapter 3, Surah Ali Imran, verse 159. 1 second. 159. What does it say here? It says, it is out of Allah's mercy that you, O Prophet, have been lenient with them. Had you been cruel or hard-hearted, they would have certainly abandoned you. So pardon them and ask for Allah's Allah's forgiveness, and consult with them. Arabic word again, shura. So the Prophet himself, Ma'soom individual, is being commanded to do shura. Again, okay. Then you have the famous verse in Surah Shura, chapter 42. So let's pull this up. It starts the passage from 30, and I want to read the passage, okay? So we actually see the context. 1 second. So, what does it say? Whatever pleasure you have been given is no more than a fleeting enjoyment of this worldly life, but to Allah is far greater, is the far better and more lasting argument, for those who believe and put trust in their Lord. So the passage is talking about those who believe and put trust in their Lord, who avoid major sins and shameful deeds, and forgive when angered. Okay? Who forgive when angered. And verse 38, who respond to their Lord, establish prayer, and they conduct their affairs by mutual consultation. Again, shura. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands shura. The Prophet is commanded to do shura, and if the Prophet is ma'soom, of course, وَمَا يَنطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ, Surah Najm, like the third or fourth verse. The Prophet is infallible and he doesn't disobey Allah. Of course, he did this. We're not going to go outside the Quran. We can prove from the Quran he did this. He did shura. And Allah is commanding the people to conduct shura. Now, this model that I've brought forward stipulates that in one aspect, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appoints the leader with the verses that you've brought forward. And if you go to Surah Nur, and I'm going to actually quote these verses, the first verse, that Allah gives mulk to whoever He wants. And I quoted that verse earlier. Now, if we go to Surah Nur, so I think it's chapter 24. It's about, let's say, 59, somewhere there. We pull up this verse. Here it is. Sorry. Let me pull up this verse. Moderator, how much time do I have left?
You've got 6 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay. Here it is. Verse 55. Allah has promised. وَعَدَ اللَّهُ, and I'm going to read the Arabic because it's relevant. وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنكُمْ وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لِيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ كَمَا اسْتَخْلَفَ إلى آخر الآية. That Allah has promised those who believe and they do righteous deeds from amongst you, minkum, the immediate audience. Verse before, what does it say? Say, O Prophet. So the Prophet is being addressed here in the last verse, meaning now the immediate audience is the Prophet and those around him. Okay, from the context. So the Prophet and those around him from the last verse, Allah is making a promise. وَعَدَ اللَّهُ لَا يُخْلِفُ اللَّهُ وَعْدَهُ. Everybody accept this. Allah does not go against his promise. He's saying he's gonna istakhlifanna, same root word as khilafah. He's gonna make them successors in the earth, just as he made successors those before. Okay, just as he made successors those before, provided that they believe in him and they do righteous deeds and so on and so forth. Okay, and obviously we know who was after the Prophet, and I'm not going to get into that because it's outside the topic. So we've established the model, meaning my interlocutor, if he proves his model, doesn't mean, and he definitely won't, doesn't mean anything. Okay, because it doesn't affect my model at all. First, now we're going to
Five
get into
minutes
his
left.
understanding. Thank you. We're going to get into his understanding. What's his understanding first? And this is the definition we agreed upon in front of everybody. And if he runs away from it, it's upon him. First, Imamah is a directly made status. Second, the Imam must be ma'soom by divine isma. In other words, he must be protected by Allah. Third, the earth cannot remain without a rightful Imam as long as there's an Imam on it. Fourth, it is essential for an Imam to be supported by divine help. 5, the deeds of the people are not hidden from the Imam. 6, the Imam must have knowledge of all that is needed by the people for their good in this world and the next. 7, it is impossible for any other person to surpass the Imam in virtue. Okay? To surpass the Imam in virtue. Before I continue, a verse just pops into my head. Chapter 4, verse 59, I think. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم وإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله ورسوله. So Allah is giving authority to وأولي الأمر منكم. Here's another verse that's giving credence to those who have authority, have amr amongst the people. So here's another verse that points indirectly to those leaders and giving obedience, but not ata'a. In this context, obviously, absolute obedience. Now, the leader, now, I'm going to challenge my opponent to prove all of these from the Quran. All of these. I dare him to. Next, I'm going to go into. Not only this, I'm going to actually go into how it contradicts the Quran. How does it contradict the Quran? That the deeds, okay? Now, I'm not even going to get into these aspects. But the Shia believe that the Imams are the inheritors of the prophets. They are the inheritors, obviously, Ahlul Bayt in this case, are the inheritors of Rasulullah, and they inherit his knowledge. And that's why, I'm not going to get into their books, but that's why they narrate from them, without going back to Rasulullah, because they're the inheritors of the knowledge from Rasulullah. Now, the Quran tells us that, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. That Muhammad is the seal of the prophets, and in another qira'ah, the final prophet. Okay, the final prophet. Now you have these individuals who come after the prophet who are identical to him in knowledge. How does this not contradict the Quran? And that's my first question to the opponent. How does this not contradict the Quran? Individuals who come after who are identical to him in knowledge. Next, that I want to get into. Give me a second. 1 second. Let me pull up the other questions that I had. Here it is. So another question that I have my opponent. Okay. Prove these aspects, isma from the Quran. If you go to chapter 36, around the verse 20 onwards, what does it say? That Dawood alayhi salam was given a hukum to the people, and he made a mistake. And he وَظَنَّ دَاوُودُ أَنَّمَا فَتَنَّاهُ. And David realized that we tested him. فَاسْتَغْفَرَ رَبَّهُ وَخَرَّ رَاكِعًا وَأَنَابَ. Chapter 38, around verse 20 on Surah Sad. فَغَفَرْنَا لَهُ ذَلِكَ. We forgave him for this. وَإِنَّ لَهُ عِنْدَنَا لَزُلْفَى وَحُسْنَ مَآبٍ. يَا دَاوُودُ إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاكَ خَلِيفَةً فِي الْأَرْضِ. Allah, same word we were talking about earlier. We have made you a caliph on the earth. فَحْكُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. Judge between the people. وَلَا تَتَّبِعِ الْهَوَى. So Allah has, first David has committed, alayhi salam, has committed the sin. Second, he realized his wrong. Third, he made the repentance and Allah gave him the rebuking. Don't do this again. Clear sin. Now, if the Imams are ma'sumin and the Anbiya are ma'sumin, this contradicts the Shia understanding, because the Shias reject that these guys are making sins abadan at all. And you find here Dawood is making sin and he's doing istighfar. Contradicts the Quran there. Next, okay?
1 minute.
Thank you. If you go to chapter 3, verse 9, it says, and I'm going to read the English, "It is he who sent down the book to you, O Muhammad. In it are verses which are precise, they are the foundation of books, and others that are unspecific. As for those whose hearts have deviated from the truth, they will follow that which is unspecific, seeking discord and seeking its interpretation. And none knows its true interpretation except Allah." Pause. And I want to emphasize this pause. Because in the Hafs qira'ah, alhamdulillah, this guy rejects qira'at. In the Hafs qira'ah, there's a pause there. In the other qira'at, you can prove that there's no pause, and the Ash'ara take from this. Nobody knows the interpretation of these ambiguous verses except Allah. Pause. Those who are firm in knowledge say, we believe, and so on and so forth. So nobody knows the interpretation of these verses except Allah, and you have to pause according to the Hafs qira'ah. Now this guy is coming forward and saying, no, there are individuals who can prove its interpretation and they know its interpretation. Again, contradicts the
All right, brother. That's your time. That's your
Quran.
time.
Can I? I was going to request an additional 2 minutes, but no problem. With that, I cede my time. Thank you.
Well, you want a seat or do you want 2 minutes and then he'll get an extra 2 minutes? That's up to you guys. Bayat.
Bayat, do you agree to this?
Bay'a is okay with that. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Okay.
then he's going to get 17 minutes. All right, hold
Uh,
on. Let me start the timer for 2 minutes now. Go
Actually,
ahead,
no.
brother.
I take that back. I don't want the 2 minutes. I've made my points. Go on,
You can
Bayat.
have it. You can have it. It's fine.
No,
I'll be
no.
generous.
I've looked at my
It's okay.
points.
I'll give you a chance, my brother. It's fine. Go ahead.
No. I don't want need. I don't need it. I'll be sitting here in silence. It's not beneficial. We stick to the 15 minutes. Go on, Bayat.
Okay.
Okay, so brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us today. Assalamu alaikum. Now, the claim the concept of Imamah is not mentioned in the Holy Quran is as hollow as the claim as the doctrine of Tawheed is not mentioned. We know the word Tawheed is not explicitly found in the Holy Quran, rather the principles. I shall now present a few verses and solely depend on the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, without any secondary sources, to prove that this concept of Imamah has not been concocted from thin air. Firstly, number one, who has the right to choose? Who has the right to choose a leader? Number one, Holy Quran, ayat number 2868. It says, your Lord creates what he wills, and the choosing for his tasks, he chooses from his tasks whomsoever he wills. Is not for them to make any choice. First verse. Second verse, who has the right to choose a Khalifa? Surah number 2, ayat number 30. And remember, when your Lord said to the angels, verily, I am going to place a Khalifa on this earth. Now we know that the Khalifa in the Holy Quran is quite clearly designated via sovereign, is designated clearly via sovereign election, meaning that choice is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. There's no room in the Holy Quran for tribal chieftains to designate who the leader will be. The Holy Quran is blatantly clear that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who elects his Khalifa. In fact, it's in a complete opposition to Sunni concept of history, as we know. Now, let's come to another verse of the Holy Quran. Surah number 35, verses number 38 to 39. It is he who made you successors, generations after generations in earth. So whoever disbelieves on him will be his disbelief. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear that he is the one who essentially chooses successors, generation after generation. Now let's come to another verse. Surah number 2, ayat number 247. And their prophet said to them, indeed, Allah has appointed Talut, Saul, as a king over you. Verily, Allah has chosen him above you and has increased him abundantly in knowledge and in stature. So Saul, as we know, was appointed as a leader over the people of Israel, as per the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as according to the Holy Quran. So his appointment was by Allah, was essentially increased. What was he increased with? Knowledge and stature. Let's come to another verse of the Holy Quran. Surah number 20, ayat number 30 to 31. Musa said, Musa, and appoint from me, from my household. From what? Not from my Sahaba. From what? From who? From my household. So even Musa alayhi salam did not have the right to choose who his Khalifa is after him. He made this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you, and appoint for me, for my household. Now I'd like to come to the idea of what the Quran says about regarding two leaders. The Holy Quran has mentioned essentially two leaders, and the Holy Quran has mentioned essentially two types of leaders. First, number one, Surah 32 to 23. And we made from among the Imams guiding by our command. So this is the first type of Imam, the one who is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who calls towards Jannah. Who's the other type of Imam? Surah 28, verse number 41 to 42. And we made them Imams who call to the fire. And we made a curse to follow them in this world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear that He only appoints two types of leaders amongst people. One that called towards Him, towards Jannah, and the other one that called toward the hellfire. Now I'd like to come to the status of Imamah from the Holy Quran. So the verse I'd like to present is Surah 2, ayat number 124. And remember, when the Lord of Ibrahim tried him with certain commands, which he fulfilled, Allah said to him, verily, I am going to make you an Imam over mankind, for mankind. Ibrahim said, and of my offspring, meaning would you make leaders from my offspring? Allah said, my covenant includes not the Zalimeen. Who? The disbelievers. So here, Ibrahim alayhi salam, essentially he was made a Khalil, a friend of God. He was made a Rasul. Then he was made a Nabi. And after Allah tested him with certain words, he was essentially made Imam over mankind. And then he supplicated to Allah. And he said, will you make Imams from my offspring? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies, verily, I do not make, my covenant does not include the wrongdoers. So, brothers and sisters, what do we know? We know firstly, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he made this dua very late in his life. Because in the Holy Quran, we find in Surah Ibrahim, ayat number 14, verse number 39, when he made this dua, he said, praise to Allah, who has granted to me in old age Ismail and Isaac. Indeed, my Lord is the hearer of supplication. Then again, in Surah Hud, ayat number 11, verse number 72, and he was the prophet and a messenger before then. She wondered, oh my, how can I have a child in this old age? And my husband here is an old man. This is truly an astonishing thing. So we know that this dua was made when Ibrahim alayhi salam was in old age. And of course, based on the verse, we concluded that he reached the status of Imamah after being a prophet. Now what's interesting is in his dua, in Surah number 2, ayat number 124, it says the following. Remember when Abraham was tested by his Lord with certain commandments, which he fulfilled. So he was tested first with certain commands. Allah said, I will make you into an Imam for the people. Ibrahim asked, what about my offspring? Allah replied, my covenant is not extended to the wrongdoers. Now let's have a look in Surah number 21, 72 to 73. Was this dua fulfilled? And we gave him Isaac and Yaqub in addition, and all of them we made righteous. And we made them Imams, guiding by our command, our Amr. And we inspired them, we inspired to them the doing of good deeds, establishment of prayer, and giving zakat, and they were all worshippers of us. So the request, the propagation of kalma of pure Tawheed continues in the line, so that people can be returned essentially to Tawheed. So let's have a look at some other verses. So what does zulm mean? Because it mentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran about zulm. The covenant would not remain amongst the zalimeen. So zalimeen were essentially those who disbelieved. As we know in the Holy Quran, Surah 31:13, it says, Luqman said to his son, O my son, do not associate others with Allah. Surely associating others with Allah is indeed a monstrous injustice. Again, Surah number 2, ayat number 54, when Musa said to his people, my people, you have wronged yourselves by taking the calf. So turn in repentance to your Creator and slay yourselves. That will be better for you in the sight of your Creator. Then he accepted your repentance. Indeed, he is the most relenting, the very merciful. Again, Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 572, it talks about essentially the mushrikeen. So, in short, what we established from here is that there's two types of covenant that there's one type of covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made, and that was essentially from the descendants of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He mentioned the word zulm. How is zulm mentioned in the Holy Quran? In Surah An'am, ayat number 93, it's lying against Allah. Surah Hud, ayat number 31, making false claim. Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 29, to kill an innocent soul. Surah Yusuf, ayat number 23, zina is called zina is considered as a zulm. Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 45, not using Allah's judgment. Not using Allah's judgment is considered a type of zulm. Surah Baqarah, ayat number 140, concealment of testimony is also considered a type of zulm. Surah Baqarah, ayat number 231, assault on others is considered a type of zulm. So according to ayat number 2, verse 1 to 4, Imamah is Allah's covenant, and this covenant cannot reach the Zalimeen, which encompassed all those meanings which are mentioned. And an Imam must be free of all this type of zulm. Now the question we have to ask ourselves is, if Allah kept guidance in previous communities, He would not leave our community without guidance. So let's come to some verses. Surah 35 verse 42. These people used to swear on solemn oaths by Allah that if a warner had visited them, they would certainly have been better guided. So the past nations, they said this to Allah, that look, why did you not send us warners? Why did you not tell us about these guides? And Allah continues and He says, you will not find any change in the way of Allah's sunnah, nor will you see the power can turn away of Allah from His appointed course. So if Allah has given this type of guidance for the previous nations, He too would
5 minutes.
likewise. How many minutes, brother?
5 minutes.
Okay, no problem, brother, no problem. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept this covenant essentially in previous nations, He would likewise keep this in our generation. Let's come to some other verses. Surah 13 verse 7. Those who refuse to believe in you say, why has no sign been sent down from His Lord? Now pay close attention. You are a warner, meaning the Prophet, you are a warner, and every people has its guide. So this verse is very general. This must mean that there must be a guide in all times. Ayat number 35:24. Verily, we have sent you with a truth, a bearer of glad tidings and a warner. And there never was a nation, but a warner had passed among them. So this includes us today. Now, brother and sister, just to recap quickly what have I covered. I've proven from the Holy Quran that firstly, the choosing is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, who has the right to choose a Khalifa? Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the right to choose a Khalifa. He placed Adam as a Khalifa, and likewise He made successive generations who He chose on this earth. Likewise, indeed, He chose Talut as a king over the people, and verily Allah increased him abundantly in knowledge and stature. Likewise, Musa alayhi salam, he made a dua that only Allah, you appoint from my family, from my al, not our Sahaba, that you appoint from my al a successor, advisor for me. Then I discussed the two types of leaders mentioned in the Holy Quran, those who have been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who call people towards His command. Again, other type of leaders who call towards the fire. I discussed Ayat Ibrahimiyya. I discussed the different stages in which Ibrahim alayhi salam essentially reached into the status of Imamah. Again, his supplication that he made from his offspring. And we know that this offspring will continue in all generations. So I'd like to finish on one particular verse. Who can we follow and obey in this time? That's the question. The verse from the Holy Quran. What does it say? How long do I have?
Sorry, brother. You still have 2.5 minutes.
Okay, firstly, in the Holy Quran, Allah mentions obedience to parents in Surah 29, number 8. This is conditional. Again, another surah, Surah 931. Allah warns us of the previous nations, of the Jews and the Christians, that they took the rabbis and the priests as their lords, meaning they unconditionally followed them. So when we talk about obedience, we warned us that when it comes to complete obedience, who can it be to? Let's have a look. Surah number 4, ayat number 59. O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the messenger and those who are in authority amongst you. So here, the obedience has to be just as you obey Allah, you obey His holy messenger and those in authority amongst you, the ulil amr. Who is the ulil amr of this time? It's no other than the imams themselves, the living imams. So this must establish for us that there must be a living imam in all times. And there's no condition in this verse, as there has been conditions in previous verses where Allah tells us to obey our parents conditionally, obey our scholars conditionally. With this verse, it's very clear that there's no this total unconditional surrender, and that's it. Thank you.
Brother, you still have got a minute and 10 seconds. You want to concede it?
Oh, he's gone. He's gonna come back, don't worry. I want to start when he comes back, but this is 3 minute statements, huh?
Yeah. Is everything
Okay.
okay? What happened?
Nah, I'm
He
struggling
got
how I'm gonna
disconnected, it
squeeze.
looks like.
Yeah. Bayat, are you back?
Uh,
Yeah, sorry, I lost connection there. Can you hear me?
Oh,
yeah, I
you're good.
said, brother, I said you still had a minute and 10 seconds left. You want to concede your time?
Yeah, so just very quickly, brother. Okay, addressing his points. Can I do that very quickly?
Sure.
The verses he cited have nothing to do with choosing leaders or Khalifa. These are basically these are essentially making decisions amongst yourselves. The issue of Islam cannot be used based on guesswork. There's no shura when it comes to choosing leaders. Okay, and as we know, so basically, in short, these verses he's citing, they've got absolutely nothing to do with choosing leaders, one single bit. I collectively shown several verses from the Holy Quran that essentially choosing for Allah. Allah has the right to choose the Khalifa. Allah chooses the Imam. Ibrahim alayhi salam essentially reached the status of Imamah very late in his life. You can cut me off anytime you want. I'm just recapping over what I've done. Yeah. Okay. Ibrahim made a prayer from his offspring that the Imams would come from them. Allah fulfilled this prayer and he gave them Imams. As zulm, as I mentioned in several verses, includes lying, making false claims, killing innocent people, zina, not using Allah's judgment, concealment of testimony, assault on others.
Okay, that's it, brother.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, can I come in?
Yeah, so hold on a second. Now, the 15 minutes are opening, are done. We're going to have 5 rounds of 3 minutes each, rebuttals on both sides. So whenever you're ready, brother, you have 3 minutes.
Alright, yalla, bismillah. Notice, ikhwan, brothers and sisters, today, how my interlocutor hasn't answered any of my questions. Anything. Number one, keep that in your head. Nothing answered. Number two, he clinged on to the verses that I made, and he said, well, this doesn't prove that the people can get together and do so on and so forth. And my verses prove only Allah can choose. Straw man of my point. And I'm going to slap your wrist, I'm joking. Straw man of my point. Why? Because I said that I don't have an issue with Allah choosing the leader. Straw manning my model. Again, he's quoting passages in his statement of Allah choosing the leaders in the Quran. Straw man. I never disagreed with that. I actually brought forth verses. Two, I'm going to ask even more questions, throw him more time bombs to deal with. First one, prove that Talut was Hujjatullah ala al-ard. This is what you say of the Imams. Prove it. He's not going to prove it. Watch, he's going to run away. Two, he used a prophet for this. I'm actually going to disprove it before he even comes in. He used a prophet to say Talut is going to be the Malik over you, showing that the prophet was actually the Hujjah of Allah on the earth. Okay, that disproved it. Number two, prove that he's ma'soom. Prove these attributes that you have of the Imams, key defining attributes, because I can't be an Imam without being ma'soom. You say that he was appointed, he had Imamah, prove he was ma'soom, not going to answer the question. He quotes the ayah in Surah Taha, وَجَعَلْنِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِي هَارُونَ أَخِي. Using your logic to the point that you made, on Ibrahim, that Ibrahim is the Imam to the people, and you are having a dance over this word Imam, well, the ayah says Wazir, so we throw that in the bin using your logic. Next one. He made a Frankenstein of all the meanings of dhulm, and he applied it to the passage of Ibrahim in Surah Al-Baqarah. Ajib. He just made a Frankenstein of all of these words and he threw it in. What is this known as in logic, ikhwan? The etymology fallacy. Meaning that if I say Bay'ah was sick when if we had a football match, Bay'ah goes on a mad run, he skills up everybody and he tucks it in bottom
One
corner.
minute, brother.
So, thank you. I say Bay'ah was sick today. And then I say again, Bay'ah is on a sick bed and he's ill and he has a thermometer in his mouth. According to him, now Bay'ah when I say earlier that he's sick, according to him, it's a positive thing in this connotation when he's on a sick bed. This is what the etymology fallacy does. Number two, next point. Okay, I made a bunch of points, but next point. He quotes the إنما أنت منذر ولكل قوم هاد. Okay? وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. And he tried to apply this to the Imams. How are we going to disprove this? Chapter 17, Surah Al-Isra, I think around verse 5, it says, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا عَظِيمًا. This verse tells us that the Quran is doing the guiding. The Quran is doing the guiding. Throwing away what you say about the Imams doing the guiding. What that verse meant, وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ, is the wahi and the message from that wahi and what is brought forth from the wahi. That is the guide. And we've proved it from this
Okay,
verse.
that's it,
Then
brother. That's 3
can I
minutes are up.
request an additional 1 minute? Or 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Bayat.
He
Yeah, go
already
ahead.
agreed
Go
that
ahead.
if you want to
Thank
give
Go
him
ahead. Go
extra
ahead.
time,
Go ahead.
he can have it, and then you add it to the.
I just want to be fair. I
List.
don't want to give it out unless he accepts it.
No, no,
That's
no. He
all.
already
you.
agreed to it at the beginning of the debate, so you don't have to ask him every
Okay.
time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever time I use for this last part, just add it onto him if it's 17 seconds or whatever. Last point. He links the passages of the Yahud following their rabbis min dunillah, and they were doing shirk with their rabbis, and he links that to, okay, and he said, this is what it means, this passage means that you can't follow them unconditionally. No, if your alim says, okay, pray 5 times a day, and the Quran says pray 5 times a day to Allah, it doesn't, but let's just hypothetically, your alim says pray, the Quran says pray, according to him now you can't pray. You can't do unconditional following of your imam. If hypothetically, if a scholar reads out every single command of the Quran to the Muslims, then you can't do any of those commands because you're following them unconditionally. No, what these passages have to do with is that you have to follow the ulama and the ai when they have a basis from the Quran and the Sunnah. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ وَجَزَاكُمُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا. And before I do finish, Bay'ah, answer my objections. You haven't answered anything from last time. You haven't answered anything now. You've clinged on to one word and you've committed multiple fallacies. Answer my questions.
Okay, how long do I have, brothers?
Okay, so he went on for an additional minute, so you've got 4 minutes, brother.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much, Uzayr, for accepting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala essentially is the one who chooses leaders. And he even agreed with the case of Talut that he was appointed over the people. So, brothers, the debate's ended there. My purpose was merely to prove that the concept of Imamat is a status that is designated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Based on that admission, we now have to reject essentially the Shaykhain and all the leaders who came after them. Now, I want to address the verses that he mentioned, the points. Firstly, he said, prove that Imamah is a divinely made status. In Surah number 2, verse 1 to 4, I prove from the verse of Ibrahim that it's a divine status which Ibrahim alayhi salam achieved on very late in his life. Again, how do I prove his authority over other people? Well, look, as we know, Allah's messenger came to the entire of man. He came to for the whole of mankind. Now, the question is, were there other prophets who were present during the time of Ibrahim? Of course there were. We know from the Holy Quran, Surah number 14, verse 4, we sent a messenger except with the language of his people in order that he might clearly explain it to them. So there were prophets around during the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So when Ibrahim was made the Imam over mankind, it would have included these prophets. Point number 1. Point number 2. He said the Imam must be masoom by divine isma. In other words, he must be protected by Allah from sins and errors. Okay, no problem. Number 1, Surah 15, verse number 39. Iblis said to God, because you have put me in the wrong, I will lower mankind and put them into the wrong, all except your devoted servants, Mukhlisin. Surah number 38, verse number 83. Iblis said, by your glory, I shall mislead them all except those of your chosen servants, the chosen ones from amongst them. Again, Surah number 39, verse number 37. It says, and whoever Allah guides, for him there is no misleader. Is not Allah the exalted in the might and the owner of retribution? And we know the Imams guide by the Amr of Allah, the command of Allah. His third point, that the earth cannot remain without a rightful Imam as long as there's an Imam on it. Okay, let's have a look. Surah number 13, ayat number 7. And those who disbelieved say, why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord? You are a warner, and for every people there's a guide. And we know that the guide is one who's chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Point number 4, it's essential for an Imam to be supported by divine help. I already showed this verse, Surah number 32, number 23. And indeed we gave Musa the book, so be not you in doubt of meeting him. And we made it a guide to the children of Israel. And we appointed from among them Imams, Imamah,
1
Imams,
minute, brother.
guiding by our command when they were patient and they used to believe with certainty, yaqeen. So these are the sifat and attributes of the Imam. Point number 5, the deeds of the people are not hidden from the Imam. No problem. Ayat number 17, verse number 71. And think of the day when we shall summon every community with its Imam. Those who are given their record in the right hand shall read the record of their deeds and shall not be wronged a whit. So here you got that verse in response. Point number 6, the Imam must have knowledge of all that's needed by the people for the good in this world and in the next. Okay, Surah number 7, ayat number 181. Among those whom we have created, there are people who guide with the truth and do justice thereby. Ayat number 35, 28. Of Allah's servants, only the knowledgeable of His sight are truly in awe of Him. Allah is indeed the Almighty, the All-Forgiving. Point number 7, it's
Time's up,
impossible for
brother.
any... Can I have 1 more minute? I just want to finish his last point because he said I didn't address them, so I want to respond to him. 1 minute.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He said it's impossible for any other person to surpass the Imam in any virtue. So again, I'll finish on this one verse, Surah 35, ayat number 32. Then we cause to inherit the book those who we have chosen of our servants. And among them is he who wrongs himself. And among them is he who is moderate. And among them is he who is foremost, sabakun, in good deeds by the permission of Allah. That inheritance is what is great bounty. I'll finish on that point.
Okay, so you went for an additional 45 seconds or so. So it's your turn, brother. You're going to have 3 minutes and
Wait, I'm
45
just writing
seconds.
down the final point. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. I'm just telling you. So you've got an additional 45 seconds for this next round.
Okay, I've written down these points now. Let me just see where it started from. Start. Okay. طيب تفضل جيك, start the time.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, again we see our interlocutor. He's drowning in the questions. He hasn't answered anything. He hasn't answered anything, and we'll prove the one thing he has tried to answer, the interlocutor has, in my opinion, failed miserably. First thing, he quotes passages on the age of Ibrahim. Alhamdulillah alladhi wahaba li ala al-kibari Ismail wa Ishaq inna rabbaka lasami'ud du'a. In Surah, I don't know if this is the one that he quoted, but this is the one I remember in Surah Ibrahim towards the end, maybe like the second last page. The age has nothing to do with proving Imamah from the Quran, Habibi. One. Number 2, he prances about saying, lads, our interlocutors conceded to saying, Allah chooses the leader. You strawman my point and then you prance around claiming victory. What is this? If you can't respond to my points, Bayat, then the audience can clearly see that you're building a fake argument, a straw man, and then you're attacking that fake argument. And meanwhile, Uzayr's real argument is sitting in the side deserted, just ignored. 1 second. I'm going to ask you another question. We've given him like 10 questions. He hasn't answered. Another one. What is the difference between the Imam and the Nabi from the Quran? Prove that from the Quran. Okay. So the points that he quotes, he says, he quotes passages. The first point is about the Imam must be ma'soom, supported by isma. Okay. He quotes passages that, I think he said قال لا ينال أحد الظالمين, or another passage, okay? But it said, the Prophet in this passage, it mentioned that those people are misguided except those who are being addressed. The passage that he's quoting, and I forgot what the content was, and he will come forward and remind us in his time. But according to him now, in this verse, everybody is astray except for the Imam. So that's my next question, Bay'ah. Are you astray? And are all the Shia of Imam Ali astray? Next point. You haven't proved they're ma'sumin, ikhwan. You haven't said the Imma are ma'sumin, verse such and such, verse here. You haven't even proven it. All you've done, you've quoted verses about people being misguided. This is very sad. And then he quotes about إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُنذِرٌ وَلِكُلِّ قَوْمٍ هَادٍ. He hasn't responded to my objection to this. Surah Al-Isra, around verse 5 onwards. The Quran is the guide. Again, theology contradicting the Quran. He hasn't responded to that either. Next point. The passages that he quotes about people receiving help. Again, it doesn't say that Imam is receiving help. It just says random people. So he's building up these passages about Imam. This mustn't tell this mustn't tell that. Therefore, we reach Imamah. And then he neglects what he's built up in these passages. He's gone to a completely different passage about people receiving help. Yeah,
1 minute
go to
left,
the
brother.
passages you built about your Imams. Next point. He says, he quotes passages about these people having knowledge. Again, it doesn't say that they have all knowledge of the people, of the people's deeds. You haven't proven that. Then he goes, he quotes the passage, وَمِنْهُمْ ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ, and it goes on, and then وَمِنْهُمْ سَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ. And apparently this proves that the Imam is the most afdal, the most virtuous of all people. Ajib, ajib. What does the verse say? It says some people are bad, some people are in the middle, and some people are excessing. And he, Bayat al-Ghadeer, in true Bayat al-Ghadeer fashion, picks up this verse. Therefore, the Imam is more afdal than everybody. No, it's not. Why? The passages you quoted in Surah Al-Baqarah shows that in the time of Talut, there was a Nabi. And the Nabi is being referred to here. And the people are going to him for ahkam. And the people are going to him. You haven't responded to that point. This Nabi is clearly more afdal than Dawood. So please, Bay'ah, stop
Time
avoiding
is
my
up, brother.
question. Answer. Yeah, I yield the mic. I sealed the mic. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah. You've got
Sorry.
3 minutes because his additional time was to cover for your additional time for last time.
Oh, do I get additional time?
No. I'm
That.
just letting him know that he's got 3 minutes. We're even right now.
Oh, we're even. Okay, go on. Yeah.
I think he's maybe lost his connection. Now, I was just
Sorry,
saying
I'm
that you had that additional 45 seconds, but that was to cover for what he went over last time. So now
no
you've
problem,
got
my
3
brother.
minutes.
No problem. Alhamdulillah, brother. So, brothers and sisters,
Yeah.
as you can see, I've literally addressed every single point the brother made. In fact, he's not responded to any of my points, whether we have the right to choose leaders or not. My point of citing Ibrahim's age is to show that he reached the status of Imamah late in his life, so it had nothing to do with prophethood. Imamah is a divinely appointed status, as I've already proven. Now, as for the point of Isma, which I didn't get much opportunity to go into, let's have a look. So firstly, when we look in the Holy Quran, Surah 33:33, it says, Allah only desires to keep all rijs from you, all impurities. O Ahlul Bayt, and to purify you absolutely. Now the question is, what is the rijs? Firstly, number one, ayat number, Surah An'am, ayat number 145. You have physical rijs mentioned here. Surah An'am, ayat number 125. You have spiritual rijs mentioned here. So essentially, rijs is uncleanliness and lack of purity is another meaning mentioned in Surah Ma'idah, ayat number 41. Now, firstly, let's come to the level of spiritual rijs. In Surah Hajj, ayat number 30, it says, avoid the rijs of idols. Here, it's not physical idols in themselves that are unclean, rather the worshipping of them, i.e. that is considered rijs, spiritual rijs. Surah Yunus, ayat number 100. He casts rijs on those who will not understand. Here, doubts and misgiving the leads and misleading people, misguidance and a lack of faith is also called rijs. Surah Toba, ayat number 95 and 125. Nafaq is called rijs. Essentially, sin is rijs. Just like rijs is of different degree, so is also sin. Open and secret, as we know in Surah Anam. Abandon open and secret sins. All sins are misguidance, as mentioned in Surah Yasin, Surah 60, verse number 62. And misguidance is one of the degrees of shirk. Surah Luqman, ayat number 13. And shirk is considered rijs. All
1 minute.
actions generally are classified into righteous and unrighteous actions, as mentioned in Surah Anam, ayat number 162, 163, and Surah Aqaf, ayat number 19. All unrighteous actions are sins, and sins are rijs. All these simply establish the fact that rijs of varying degree, physical and spiritual, are away from the Ahlul Bayt.
You've got 30 seconds if you want it.
Okay, so what is tahira? Purity. This is also classified into physical and spiritual purity. We know Surah Anfal, ayat number 11, Surah Ma'idah, verse number 6. If you're in a state of janaba, then purify yourselves. These are the ways and examples of physical purity. Spiritual tahira, for example, Surah Baqarah, ayat number 25, purified mates. And Surah Abasa, ayat number 13 to 15, purified books. Surah Ma'idah, Tayammum. Surah Toba, ayat number 103, Surah Mujadala, ayat number 12. Zakat is also a spiritual purifier.
Time's
So
up,
this is a
brother.
type of purity.
Okay, so we've done 2 rounds each so far. We're moving on to the third round. You've got 3 minutes, bro. Whenever you're ready.
Wait, can you give me just like a few seconds? I'll write down one of the last ones at this point.
Yeah. No problem, man.
Okay, yeah. I'm done. So I want to start the timer if you guys don't
Yeah,
mind.
تفضل.
Okay. So he says that now Ibrahim alayhi salam has reached extreme old age. And he said, look, the reason why I quoted this verse is to show us towards the end of his life. And after all these years, Ibrahim finally reaches the status of an imam. Oh, Tayyib, what did he do to become an imam? What did he do to become an imam? That's my other question. He hasn't answered nothing. Really, it's just piling up. And I'm looking forward to the cross-examining stage. And I'm just licking my lips for that. I can't wait to just pose all these questions with him and see what he does. Next thing, he says, "Oh, the debate is finished, lads, because my interlocutors conceded that Allah chooses the Imam." Straw man again. Straw man against straw man. Bayat, you're gonna keep doing these fallacies. You're just gonna keep embarrassing yourself and everyone. I read out all these passages. It went through one ear, came out the other. Of Allah appointing the leader, Allah appointing the leader, Allah appointing the leader. And I showed you how that applies to my model, and I accepted that. And I knew you were going to do this. So I said before time, if my interlocutor proves his model, which he'll never do, it doesn't disprove my model because Allah still appoints the leader in my model. Next thing, okay? All he's done, he's quoted these passages on regis. What he's done is the etymology fallacy on steroids. He's got all of these words in other verses, and then he said that it must mean the same thing here. And I gave the example about sick, but Bayat still hasn't responded. He's going to keep doing these fallacies, and he's just going to embarrass himself. For those who don't know, fallacy is basically invalid logic, unreasonable logic, an invalid argument, null and void argument. So you keep saying that, oh, in one place, if religious means this, and in another place it means that, then it must mean both here. On what basis are you doing that? Where are you getting this from, Bay'ah? You're just throwing everything together. You put it in a blender, and you've made this rotten, stinking smoothie, and you're telling me, Uzayr, drink up. This is what's happening. Now, if you go to chapter 9, verse 95, you look at the verses before. I'm going to skip them because I'm short on time. But these verses are quoting the mushrikeen and all of their vices and their evils.
1 minute.
Verse 95 says, when you return, they will swear to you by Allah so that you leave them alone. So leave them alone. They are truly evil. Okay? It says here, innahum rijis. So according to him now, Allah has removed these individuals inside the imams. He's taken them inside the imams. A bunch of other things included as well. this rotten smoothie, one of the ingredients being these individuals who are inside the imams, he's taken them out. And then he's done, وَيُطَهِّرُكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. Okay? This is ajib, ikhwan, ajib. He hasn't answered a single question. He's made a rotten smoothie of just all these different meanings and he's just thrown them together without any basis for it. He said it means all of the above here. No reason given why. What do you call it? He's made a bunch of fallacies. He's attacking a fake argument. He hasn't attacked my argument. Bay'ah, have some respect for yourself, akhi. With that, I concede my time. I don't know how much I have left.
You finished right on time, actually. Yeah, you
Allahu
got
Akbar.
3
Allah has
minutes,
blessed
brother.
my time. Allah has blessed my time.
Brother, sorry, brother, how long do I have?
You got 3 minutes.
Brother,
You
I didn't
finished
even
right
need
on
three
time.
minutes,
So.
to be honest with you. No problem, brother. Do you know what? I didn't even need 3 minutes. I've actually proven from the Holy Quran, based on his direct admission, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who chooses the leader. We do not have no right to choose the leader. He claims his framework allows him to choose leaders. Where? I've given clear-cut, explicit verses from the Holy Quran that number one, Allah is the one who chooses. Number two, Allah chooses the Khalifa. Number three, there's two types of leaders. One that guides towards Allah, the other one who guides towards the hellfire. I clearly established that Ibrahim alayhi salam was a made imam for mankind. So his authority would have included all the prophets in his era. So how can he come and argue with me to say, where is this imamah for Ibrahim? I established it clearly. It's clear. So brother, I'd like you to come on now and explain where from the Holy Quran Allah allows you to choose and select your leaders. Because in all the verses I've presented, they explicitly say that we do not have the right. You can have the 2 minutes, brother.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Go on, Jake. Tell me when the time
You know, I
starts.
was just gonna say, yeah, he had 2 minutes left, but okay, he's conceding. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, Ikhwan, still no questions answered. Nothing. Like the thing is, if my questions were red herrings, I was going off. Everything has to do with the topic. I don't answer red herrings. You've seen that with a discussion I had with another brother, Saif. Right? He kept asking me this one question that was off topic. I didn't answer. Everything I've asked is within the boundary of the topic. For some reason, he doesn't want to answer. Whether he's, I don't know. I don't want to say that. Why? Now, what has he done here? The Moat and Bailey fallacy. What is this? Essentially, what he's done, he's hid behind the fact that this one question that he's asking, and he's left all of these harder issues uncovered. He hasn't answered anything. He's committed this rotten smoothie that he's made. He's made a rotten smoothie. He's taken Uzayr, drink up, finish the bottle, and all of these things. He hasn't answered anything. He hasn't answered anything. Okay? First thing. Second thing. I built my model step by step, verse by verse, and you didn't challenge me on that at all. The conclusion of that, what necessitates that. For example, if I say to you, I don't know, all Shi'as are Muslim, for example. All Shi'as are Muslim. Bay'ah is a Shi'i. Therefore, what is the implication of that? Bay'ah must be a Muslim. The implication of all the verses that I've brought is that you can bring together people who do shura of this particular matter, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indirectly appoints them. And I showed from the Quran how Allah indirectly appoints them. If you go to Surah La ilaha illallah, Surah Al-Fath, chapter 48, verse 17 onwards, it talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being pleased with them. وَلَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَثَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا وَمَغَانِمَ كَثِيرَةً تَأْخُذُونَهَا. مغانم كثيرة. I want to emphasize this word. Lots of غنائم. Lots of غنائم. So you find these individuals, they're being given authority, they're being given credence, they're being pointed to. These individuals after the Prophet, these individuals after the Prophet, these individuals after the Prophet, and I prove that the necessity of my position, the concession you didn't challenge my previous syllogisms, but you want to challenge my conclusion. What is this bay'ah? You haven't given a reason why. Answer my questions. Don't avoid my question. I won't say run away or scared. Don't avoid my questions. Answer them. I've given you about 15 questions. This has gone on for over an hour. You haven't
30
answered
seconds.
nothing. So answer my questions, Bay'ah. I told you it was what my premises necessitated. This was the conclusion. You didn't challenge my premises. Therefore, this is what it necessitates. And do answer my questions and answer my points. I've answered everything. Answer my points.
Okay, brother.
How long
You're
do I
up.
have, brother?
You got 3 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, I'll respond right now. Surah 48:28. Look at the verse he quoted. It has nothing to do with the Khalifa. Subhanallah, this guy's taking all of you lot for a ride. Read it yourself. He is the one who sent his messenger with the right guidance and the religion of truth, making it prevail over all others. And sufficient is Allah as a witness. He is the one. What has this got to do with Shura? What has this got to do with the choosing of Khalifa? What has this got to do with choosing your Imam? What has this got to do with Abu Bakr and Umar? All the verses I've cited from the Holy Quran, they explicitly show, number one, let me repeat again, Allah is the one who chooses. Number two, Allah has the right to choose a Khalifa. Number three, Musa made a prayer to appoint from his household a successor. Number four, the two types of leaders from the Holy Quran, one that guide to Allah and the other that guide towards hellfire. Surah Ibrahim, as I clearly mentioned, Ibrahim became an Imam after he was tested and trialed. What was those commands? I don't know. Allah knows best. Allah knows best. But he, after testing those, being tested from those commands, reached the status of Imam. Then he made a supplication. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the leaders will not come from the Zalimeen. I established from the Holy Quran what is a Zalim. I talked about the characteristics and the different types of Zulm, both physical and spiritual. And we know that there were two types of descendants from Ibrahim. Those who were from the Muhsineen, the righteous ones, as mentioned in Surah Safat, ayat number 37, verse 113, and also in Surah Hadid, the Zalimeen, 57:26. So these were the two types of descendants that existed from the offspring of Ibrahim. Of course, again, I discussed Zulm, discussed the different types of Zulm from the Holy Quran. Therefore, according to the Holy Quran, in Surah number 2, verse number 124, Imamah is clearly a covenant, and this covenant cannot reach the Zalimeen. Therefore, whoever is an Imam, or leader, or Khalifa, he must be free from Zulm. And of course, Allah does not leave us without guidance. Allah says this very explicitly, that these people in the past used
1
to
minute.
swear that why did you not send leaders to us to warn us? And then again, Allah says that you will never see changes in my way, as mentioned in Surah 35, verse 42. So yeah, I'm pretty much done, to be honest with you. This brother cannot bring a single verse to prove his concept of leadership from the Holy Quran.
Okay.
Before Uzayr, before you start, excuse me, I just want to let everyone know this is the fifth round. So
Yes, the last one.
after the brothers finish this round, then we're gonna go to the cross examination. And again, Uzayr will go first. Then Bayat will go first, and each of them will have 10 minutes. Uzayr, whenever you're ready, go ahead. And Brother Jake, whenever he starts talking, start the timer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm. طيب. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is just turning into a show now. What he's done, I've fundamentally stripped all of his, and this goes addressing to the points that you've made better. I've stripped down all of what you've been citing, and I went foundationally to your method of interpretation that led you to this conclusion. You've brought forth a bunch of different meanings of what rijis can mean, for example. Unlike safe, what you did here, you didn't say it just means this for certain. You made a cocktail, a smoothie, just threw everything together into the blender, and it's stinking and rotten. And you told me drink up. On what basis have you made this interpretation? That you throw every single meaning together of a word in the Quran, and you throw it together and you say this is what it means. I'm going to use the verses that you say. وجعلنا منهم أئمة يدعون إلى النار وجعلنا منهم أئمة يهدون بأمرنا. Two exactly opposing verses. One says that Imams are the guides. Other one says the guides بإذن. The other one says that they're calling to Jahannam. You go to the verse about Ibrahim now. We're going to use Bay'ah's method of interpretation. Throw everything together. Hold on, you have two things that contradict. What happens now? This is what Bayat's interpretation leads to. Again, Bayat, answer my question, for crying out loud. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to beg you now? I've been asking for hours. I'm not gonna go down back to my points. You missed the boat. The boat has sailed. I'm gonna need another 10 minutes for that to go through my verses again. So the boat has gone. You've missed that. Bye bye. I've written down your points. You snooze, you lose. Too bad you haven't written down my points. I've answered all of your questions. You haven't answered one. You stuck to one about the age of Ibrahim. You haven't answered anything other. I asked you, prove to me the isma of the Imams explicitly. You haven't. Prove to me the Imams are afdal, more afdal than the people. You've tried to bring a verse. It doesn't say that. And I referred you to the verse of Talut and how the people are referring to the
1 minute.
Prophet. Okay. I've asked you, what do you call it? What is the difference between a prophet and a nabi? No answer. The fact that the knowledge of the imams, they inherit the knowledge, all of the knowledge of the prophet, they inherit it and they take it. And the Quran said there's no more prophet afterwards. And you're saying that these guys are prophets. These guys are coming afterwards, and they're basically no different to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Quran is saying no more prophets. These guys are no different in knowledge. The fact that it contradicts the Quran, I referred you to that. I gave 1,000,001 points. Nothing answered. Nothing. Whereas I've answered anything. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been made crystal clear. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. You haven't answered anything. And I'm looking forward to this cross-examination where I'm going to pin you on these questions and I'm going to see how you squirm out of them. I'm looking forward to this. So you can see, ladies and gentlemen, especially those who've been here from the beginning, how he hasn't answered anything. He's
Time's up, brother.
okay, go on.
This is your last response, Baya. It's 3 minutes.
Sure, brother. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the cross-examination. So I don't know what type of pinning down you're going to do, because the way I'm looking, you're getting slaughtered, my friend. I have established very clearly from the Holy Quran that essentially there are two types of leaders. One that calls Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who guides by his amr, who guides by his command. Another type of imam who calls towards the hellfire. He is the one who appoints a khalifa. We do not have a right to appoint a khalifa. You try to deceive everyone by quoting a verse in Surah Fatah that had absolutely nothing to do with appointing through shura. In fact, it proves my point that imam is a person who is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, of course, there's no contradiction in appointment. One is the choice of Allah, and the other one is the choice of the people. The choice of the people will lead you to who? The hellfire. Now, let me come to some of those verses you mentioned as well. You said that the prophethood has come to an end. No doubt, prophethood has come to an end. No doubt about this. But let's have a look at what the Quran says. Surah number 13, verse number 7. And those who disbelieve say, why has a sign not been sent down to him from his Lord? You, O Prophet, are a warner. And for every people, for every person, there's a guide. So this means that at all time, there must be a guide. Let's come to another verse of the Holy Quran. Just bear with me, sorry. Okay, Surah 7, verse 181. Among those whom we have created, there are people who guide with the truth and do justice thereby. Ayat number 35, verse number 28. Of Allah's servant, only the knowledgeable of his might are truly in awe of him. Allah is indeed the Almighty, the All-Forgiving. So this shows us that at all times we need a guide. And
1 minute.
even in this time, I'd like to ask my brother, who is your Imam? Who is your Khalifa of this time? And who chooses him? I'm done.
Okay. So now we're done with the rebuttals here. We're gonna move to the 10-minute cross-examination. Uzayr, you've got 10 minutes to cross-examine him first, and then the opposite. So whenever you're ready, bro, I'm gonna start your 10 minutes.
Okay. So, Bayat, I'm going to ask you a very simple question.
and it's going to be two together. Can you concede that the Imams know they do the tafsir and the exegy and of the Quran? Do you concede that the Imams do that?
We're debating Imamah from the Quran only, so please keep it inside the Quran.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of the Quran. Habibi.
Your question is not relevant to the debate of proving the concept of Imamah
Okay,
from the
no
Quran.
problem, no problem, no problem. He doesn't want to do that. Can you respond to my verse about وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلُهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ and in the Hafs qira'ah?
Which verse you're referring to?
Chapter 3, I think verse 9, where it says that there's muhkamat in the Quran and mutashabihat, and those who have
Exactly.
veil
Okay,
in their
yes, no
hearts.
That's
problem.
3:7.
So you're referring to the verse that says that there are those verses which are clear and those verses which are allegorical, correct?
No, the specific part of that verse that I want to focus on,
Sorry,
nobody knows
sorry.
the
Just give it to me again. Surah what?
Surah 3, verse 7, according to Jake.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the ta'wil except Allah. Pause in the Hafs qira'ah. Alhamdulillah, you don't accept qira'at. Then those who are firm in knowledge say so on and so forth. Can you respond to this point that renders your whole imamah in the bin?
What are you talking about? Which verse? Surah 3:7. He is the
Chapter 3,
one.
verse 7. Yeah.
Yeah, so the entire verse.
No, وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلُهُ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. I don't know what I said. Do you want it in French?
The
I don't know.
part he's
Can you read
referring.
the entire verse? Because you're only selecting parts of verse. Can you read the entire
And
verse?
Uh, you have
chapter
to.
3,
Excuse me. Hold on one second.
my time
Jake,
is running, Mod. I'm
stop.
running out of time.
Yeah,
I'm running
Jake,
out.
stop.
Okay, I
Stop.
paused the timer. I paused the timer.
The verse that he's quoting is he's referring to a part of the verse. The verse says, but none grasp their full meaning except Allah. As for those well grounded in knowledge, they say, we believe in the Quran. It is all from our Lord, but none will be mindful of this except people of reason. Brother Uzayr, when you try to explain, to say something to him in Arabic, he doesn't understand Arabic. So you're putting him at a disadvantage when you ask in
I said
Arabic
it in
and expect
English
him
in
to
the
understand.
beginning, Mod. I said it in English in the beginning. He didn't understand, so I thought maybe the
I'm
Arabic.
just pointing it out. I'm not trying to debate, but the confusion is he doesn't know what you're referring to. So present it to him the question in English, and if you want to use the Arabic text, you can. Uh, as soon as they start talking, Jake, just start the timer again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you respond to the fact that your imams don't know the meaning of these mutashabihat?
I don't see how that's relevant to the verse you're mentioning. If you want me to respond, can I respond?
Shall I show you how it's relevant?
Yeah, please do, because I'm really failing to understand the point you're making.
I'll show you the point that I'm making. So, according to the definition that we've both agreed on, okay, it renders number 6 dead, okay, because they're not what the people need in the community is entailed by the Quran and the mutashabihat, and they don't know the mutashabihat, so point 6 is down. Is there any other point? There's obviously a few other points that go down, and it just takes down your entire imamology of them being hujjatullah ala al-ard.
So you want to respond now?
Yes.
I'll bring you two verses to disprove your claim. Ayat number 3, verse number 7. No one knows its interpretation except Allah, and those who are firmly rooted in knowledge, those who are rasakuna fi ilm. We believe the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt are rasakuna fi ilm. Surah number 13, ayat number 43. O Prophet, say, enough for a witness between me and you is Allah, and He who possesses the knowledge of the book. I'm done.
Okay. So first verse that you're citing is the same verse that I cited. Down. You aren't paying attention again. It's clear for the audience. Second verse, what is the kitab saying? Go to the verse before. Okay? It says, those disbelievers from before say, so on and so forth. So it's clearly, take the brackets out because that's an interpretation. And those from before them had plotted. So it's those who plot
who are plotting against the Prophet. And then it says, nobody knows قُلْ كَفَى بِاللَّهِ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Basically, Allah between you and me is sufficient for a shaheed, except for those who have knowledge of the book. What is the kitab? I'm postulating that the only way that addresses this is that it is the previous scripture. Okay, next question. He hasn't answered that. What is the difference between an imam and a nabi?
Sorry, I actually did address your previous points.
Can you answer my question, Bayat?
No, I did actually address your previous points.
Yeah. Don't waste time. Answer my question. I'm sure on time.
Okay, no, that's fine. Sorry, what was your second point? You're gonna make your second point
What
now?
is the
I
difference
did
between
address
a
your first
nabi
point.
and an imam?
Sorry, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Sorry, my reception is
What
bad.
is the difference between a nabi and an imam?
It's the status and maqam which Ibrahim alayhi salam achieved late in his life.
So you're saying the only difference is the status, but conceptually or functionally they're both the same.
It's a divinely status covenant given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to
Can you answer the
whom He
question that
chooses.
I've asked you? You're
I
saying
answered I answered your question. I
no,
said it's
you
a
haven't, because
divinely
I've asked the moderator.
sovereign state.
Look, don't interrupt me, please. I'm asking you. So you're saying now that there's no difference between them. It's only functional. It's functionally there's no difference. It's only with to do with their virtue.
Yeah, and it can be based on their function as well, because it's not necessary that the Imam physically functions over the people.
So you're saying that there's a different. What difference is this? Tell us which difference. Because you know I'm gonna catch you that you're saying there's individuals who are functionally no different to the Prophet. Now you're saying no, there is. What is this functional difference? Tell us.
It's not necessary that they physically rule over the people.
Prophets don't have to rule over the people either, though. Ibrahim didn't rule over the people.
Exactly my point. But he still was an Imam over the entire mankind, including prophets who
Okay,
existed
was
in his
Zakaria
period.
alayhi salam a ruler? Was Uzayr alayhi
4
salam a
minutes.
ruler?
Sorry, was who? Uzayr?
Uzayr alayhi salam, Zakaria, Yahya, I don't want to say
No,
Idris.
they didn't. They didn't rule over the people physically. No, not all of
Okay,
them achieved
so
kingdom.
your difference is invalid. Next point, he can't prove a difference between the Imams and the Nabis. Okay, fine. Now, can you respond to my point of their knowledge? Yeah, the Quran says there's no more prophet there's no more prophet after Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now you're saying no, there's individuals who, as far as their knowledge goes, they're identical. Can you respond to that?
I already cited the verses to you, brother. If you would like
Can
me
you
to, I can
respond
read the
to that?
verses again. Sorry, what was that?
Can you respond to that?
I already responded to you, my brother. I give you multiple
Okay, he doesn't
verses
want to
that
respond to
respond to
that. He
all your
doesn't want to.
objections.
Yeah, he doesn't want to respond to that. Can you respond to the verse, chapter 7, verse 5, where the Quran is the guide and the Prophet isn't the guide? The Imams aren't the guide.
Yeah, we're not talking about the term Imam here referring to a book. We're talking about Imam of guidance, which I already clarified before.
Okay. Um. So can you respond to the verse of Isa alayhi salam being a guide in chapter 19, verse 43?
Let me find the verse. Give me 1 second.
Chapter 19, verse 43. Sorry, Ibrahim alayhi salam. Before he's an Imam. This is baby Ibrahim. So your whole point about him becoming an old man is refuted. This is baby Ibrahim talking to his father alayhi salam. And he says,
Okay,
follow me, I will.
so
Yeah.
the verse is, "O my father, indeed there has come to me of knowledge that which has not come to you. So follow me. I will guide you to an even path." So here, the word Abi for us is referring to his uncle, not his father. So that's the first point. So this is
Okay.
actually reference to a disbelieving uncle, not his father, who was a believer according to us.
Are you okay? Does that address any? If it was his uncle, his son, he's a
So
baby now.
he's saying,
Wherever.
uncle, there has did come to me knowledge that has not come to you. So follow me. I will guide you to an even path. So yes,
Yeah.
this is about Ibrahim alayhi Islam guiding his disbelieving uncle towards the
Done.
truth.
So your whole point of the Imams being the guide in the bin. Next question.
Nope.
We're having a laugh now. This is amazing. Um let me go through the question. Can you bring me a verse that says unequivocally that the Imams are ma'sumin?
I already
Nothing that
mentioned.
makes a
I already
blender. No,
mentioned
no,
it.
I refuted that point. Respond to my objection about you making a blender. You threw all of these words together, and he said all these words, rijis here, not rijis here, imam here, imam there, here, rijis there, tahara here, tahara there. All of these meanings must be in this one verse. Where have you come to?
1 minute.
Yeah. On what basis have you come to this method of interpretation?
Brother, you've not addressed anything I've said. Literally, I've responded to all your
Can
objections.
you
You just
answer my
haven't.
question?
You literally get me to repeat all my points again. I've already
No,
established to you
I've
that an
responded to no.
imam is a divinely sovereign position given by us Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He can bestow it to whom he wills. He has the right to choose the leader.
Mhm. So can
We
you
don't have.
respond? Yeah, can you respond to my counterpoint that stipulates, okay, that makes very very crystal clear that what do you call it? Nobody, you haven't responded to any of my points here. Nobody knows the ta'wil except Allah, and so on and so forth. You said that you don't know the difference between the Imam and the Nabi. You don't know any of these points.
I already
Okay.
did. I clarified that the imam is a status, divinely designated status, and he gives it to whom he wills at any time he wants.
hmm So in any case, I want to
Time's up,
conclude
brother.
the examination.
Time's up, brother. You have 10 minutes to cross-examine Brother Uzayr.
Okay, so I want to actually go through each one of my points to actually see if he's addressed them. Point number one, who has the right to choose? I clearly showed from the Holy Quran, this task is essentially only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah 28, verse 68. Again, Surah 2, number 30. And Adam was made a Khalifa on earth by the choice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, Surah number 28, Surah number 35 to 38 to 39. He is the one who made successors generations after generations. Like to ask Brother Uzair, show me a single verse from the Holy Quran that we have a right to choose a Khalifa.
Allah chooses the Khalif. We don't have a right.
So how do you believe Abu Bakr is divinely appointed? Or how do you believe Abu Bakr was appointed then? You must accept that his rule is illegitimate.
Yeah. I'm going to respond to that point, but next time stay within the confines of the Quran.
It is.
I
Abu Bakr is in the Quran. Don't you believe Abu Bakr is in the Quran?
Okay. So I proved to you, just to respond to your point, I proved to you that, no, because I'm talking about concept for concept, not person for person. You said that, not me.
Okay, no problem, no
Because,
problem, no problem. Okay, let
but
me rephrase that then. Let me rephrase that. You're right. Let me rephrase that. Show me from the Holy Quran that we have the right to choose leaders.
Allah chooses the leader.
So you accept that the Sunni concept of choosing leaders is false then, since Allah is the one who chooses them.
No. I don't know what all my
So why
points
are you
for you.
contradicting yourself? Look, brothers and sisters, look how he's contradicting himself. Look, I'm saying to him, who's the one who chooses leaders? He says Allah.
Mods,
Then
you
I
cut
ask
me
him,
off.
then
Mods,
I,
you cut me off. Can I finish? Thank you. I've proven you from the get go, and you didn't challenge us. I was quoting verses of Allah appointing the leaders. For goodness sake, Allah appointed the leaders. Allah appointed the leaders. Allah appointed the leaders, and I said in my model, I can prove to you indirectly that Allah appointed these leaders. Respond to those verses.
indirectly. Now, one second. Let me ask you a question. You said indirectly. It's very clear. The hukam is clear. He's the one who chooses. Even Musa alayhi salam made dua that Arun was that make me a successor after me. He supplicated. So I'm asking you, where is this? What do you say? Ambiguous verses that you talk about?
Oh, so with regards to the verse that you cited, using your logic, we throw it in the bin, and I said this earlier because it says wazir and not imam, therefore it's in the bin.
Yeah.
Secondly,
What's the meaning of wazir?
no, this is besides the point because you are
No.
focusing on the
It's
word
besides. No, it's
missing the
relevant
end.
to the point
Don't
because
cut
if
me
we
off.
establish, now
Moderators, can you
Habibi,
come in?
it's my
Moderators, can you
question.
come in?
What is a
Mods,
wazir?
LRX, Muslim, can you guys, thank you.
It's my
The
time to
view,
question you, bro.
yeah, because I'm responding. You're cutting off my response. Let me respond to your question. Do you want an answer, Bayat?
Jake, stop the time for a second, please. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it stopped, yeah.
Uzayr, this is a cross-examination. It's part of it is him trying to get you to respond. So him cutting you off is part of it, like you were cutting him off. There's no problem with that. That's part of
Yeah.
the cross-examination. Uh,
Okay.
Jake, please start the time when they start talking. Bayat, go ahead.
Let me give the question again to the brother, inshallah, and then he can respond again. So I'll ask the brother again. If Allah is the one who chooses leaders, please tell us how your leaders were chosen and based on what verses.
Okay. So please don't cut me off after I'm halfway through reading the Kalam of Allah. So what was my model? Ikhwan, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost. My model stipulated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indirectly appointed them in the Quran, and Allah is the one who chooses the kingdom, and Allah is the one who gives kingship. And I quoted many of these verses, as did Bay'ah, and
Which proves
nobody
my point.
disagreed. Yeah, and nobody disagreed. And I respond to Bay'ah on this point that this isn't mutually exclusive, and I gave the example of the Malaika. It went through one, it came out the other. Now, what is my model, ladies and
Your
gentlemen?
model is man-made,
My
it's not
model,
made by
yeah,
Allah. But go ahead.
yeah. This is very fallacious. What was my model, ladies and gentlemen? My model, I gave a brief definition. Now you ask for the verses that gave that. Now, one verse that gave that I quoted is chapter Surah Nur, okay? Verse I think it was 45 or 55, and the one before that. So let me
I need
actually pull up
the
the verse.
verse. I need the exact verse so we can read it out together quickly.
Yallah, okay, no problem. Let's pull up the verse. Let's go to like 50. Inshallah.
I don't
Let's,
I don't mind. You can guys can stop the watch while he gets the verse. I really don't mind because let's have a look at this.
yeah. So, hold on. I think it's in the 40s actually. Moderators, have you stopped the time?
Allow him to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
allow the
it's
brother to
ahead.
find the.
Yeah. Jazakumullah khairan.
I stopped the timer. I don't know where he's gone.
Yeah, I said
I guess we gotta
Jazakumullah
talk.
khairan.
No. I'm saying the brother. He's back. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Wait 1 second. Now I've gone back on Clubhouse, and now okay. Let me go back to the verses. It says وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنكُمْ. That's how it starts. I know the Arabic, but I'm trying to find it over here. Okay. 1 second. Here it is. So the verse before, what did I say? It says, now can you start the timer mods? Jake, have you started the timer?
Yep,
So
go
which
ahead.
verse you saying? Surah what? Surah? No, don't
Okay.
start the time yet. Let me get
Chapter
the verse. Surah.
Yeah, chapter 24, verse 54 and 55. And my point was 54 establishes that it's addressing the Prophet. And what he's saying to the people is telling him, say to the people, obey Allah and the Messenger, and so on and so forth. Then the next verse is telling us, minkum, wa'ad Allahu alladhina amanu minkum. Allah has promised from amongst you. Who's the people being addressed here? It's those around the Prophet. From the verse before, the
Okay,
context
and
before.
it's okay. Good. Now this verse you bring up. Oh, you who believe, obey Allah and obey His
No,
Messenger.
no, no, no.
And
Say,
those
you forgot say. You're misquoting the verse.
what? I'm quoting the same verse.
Do you
Which
know
verse?
what qul means? Hold on. Who's when it says to the Prophet, قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. Isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling the Prophet to say to the people? Do you agree with this?
Sorry, which? Let me bring it up because I'm looking at a different verse, brother. You
I'm
said
looking
Surah.
at chapter 24, verse 54.
Give me
قُلْ
1 second.
أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ
Sorry,
وَأَطِيعُوا
give
الرَّسُولَ.
me 1 second. My phone's frozen. I can't even search it. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Okay, so I don't know how you're speaking. So anyways, I'll give my argument again. The Quran is saying in this verse, say, O Prophet, obviously, when he's telling him say, who's he saying it to? The people around him. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger. Now we know who's being addressed in the next verse because the context tells us that is telling the prophet to speak to the immediate audience, the reciprocants of the revelation. Now, what does the next verse say? Allah has certainly promised those who believe and do good deeds that He will certainly make you successors in the land. لِيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّ, same root as Khalifa. And I'm not going to use Bay'ah's logic and say that this means 100% that Khilafah is in the Quran. No, because I've made a contextual description
Wait,
based.
Uzayr. Uzayr, this is not your time. You cannot use
No, he's
this
asking me
time
for the
to preach.
argument. Mod, this is not fair. He asked me
Yeah,
for my
but he is
argument. I'm
looking.
bringing the
Hold
argument.
on,
You
hold
want me
on,
to be
hold on,
silent? No, Mod, do
hold
you want
on,
me to be silent? This isn't fair.
hold on. It's his
Yeah, but
time.
Mod, no. Mod.
Hold
You said,
on 1 second.
oh
Mute
my
yourself,
God, this is
please.
ridiculous.
Mute yourself. He's looking for a verse. You cannot start preaching when he's looking for the verse. That's not
Yes,
Just give
but
me a
Mod,
acceptable.
he
second, brother.
asked me,
I
he
told you
asked,
my sister.
Keep
yeah.
yourself muted. Do
No,
not
this isn't
unmute
fair.
yourself.
He asked me before, what
Please
is your
do not.
argument?
Please do
Oh my
not
God.
unmute yourself. Thank you very much. It's his time. He's doing the cross examination. You're giving him a verse. He's looking up the verse. Give him a chance. It's not your time to give
I apologize
an
because
answer.
I'm using my phone to search the verses, and my phone's slightly slow, so just bear with me.
Okay. So, to be fair, Mod, I just want to say this very calmly. I did lose my head there. Is that he asked me before that, before get the verse, he
I
said, "What is your
understand, but you
argument?"
cannot start
No,
talking
Mod,
while
you
he's
cut me off. This
searching.
isn't fair. Look, this is not in our
Okay,
time, yeah. Let me
Okay, then
I
mute
found the verse,
yourself.
brothers.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah,
found the verse.
yeah, but I just
So,
want to say one last thing before we continue. Is Mod, he asked me for the argument, so I'm bringing him the argument. Do you
Yes,
want me
but
to
you
be
cannot
silent?
start the argument while he's looking. What part of that
No,
do you
I
not
read the. No,
understand?
no, this isn't okay. Fine, just go on. This is unfair.
okay, so brother, I'm gonna Surah 24, verse 54. I've got it up on my phone. It has nothing to do with the choice of people appointing leaders. Okay, it's nothing to do with it. It's Allah's appointment shown via the messenger. So we agree with this verse, my dear brother, but you are falsely using it to justify the events of Skifa Banu Saida and the appointment of your caliphate system.
Okay. Now you strawman my argument.
Here's my
Well, give
questions
me.
to you now, brother. My questions to you is
Yeah.
my round, my brother. You
Okay, go
can't.
on. Go on.
What's
Sorry about that. I want to apologize. Sorry. Go on.
so what so you essentially admit that you have a man-made system of appointment. So you guys have opposed the Holy Quran, whereas Allah is the one who chooses the leaders for us. You had no right. Your entire Saqifa system collapses, my dear brother. How was your leader appointed? Please tell us.
Okay. Now, first we're talking about model for model, not person for person, incident for incident. So leave that Saqifa stuff to the side. Number one.
So now you
Number
accept that
two.
your own Khalifa
That,
system, they didn't follow the Holy Quran when it came to the appointment of leadership. Thank you, brother. So brothers and sisters, as you can see, Brother Uzayr has essentially failed to prove his concept of leadership. What he has proven is his own man-made system of leadership, which has no basis from the Holy Quran. Now, the question we need to ask ourselves is, who is this person where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, obey Allah, obey Muhammad, and those in authority amongst you? Who are they? Brother Uzair, who's the one in authority amongst you now?
Mhm. So the ones in authority amongst us are the leaders today we see around us. It says
Give me a
ulil
verse of the
amr.
Holy Quran. Give me a verse of the Holy Quran. It's them
Yeah.
because you just accepted
The
that it's
same
Allah the
verse
one who
you
chooses
quoted.
the leaders.
Yeah, the same verse you quoted. No. This isn't for my system. Don't strawman me. This isn't for the system that I've built
Yeah,
up and the
you
holy
already. So
system.
your system of Khilafah cannot be proven from the Holy Quran. You just accepted
No.
that it's Allah.
Okay,
It's Allah the
no,
one who
no, I
chooses.
didn't. No, I didn't. I wasn't allowed to speak because it was your time. So I'm gonna
Okay,
address that in a
give me
bit.
a verse. Give me one single verse from the Holy Quran which clearly says that we have the right to choose a Khalifa.
Did I say that we have a right to choose a Khalifa? I said
So then,
Allah.
so if we don't have the right to choose a Khalifa, how do we have the right to obey those who are in authority amongst us? There must be those people who are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay. So first you strawman my argument. I never said that we have a right to choose and Allah doesn't. This is a lie. Blatant lie in front of everyone. One.
So
Two.
do you accept, do you accept Allah has the right to choose the Imam? Yes or no?
100% I'd be a kafir if I didn't.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. So now point number two, does Allah have the right to choose a Khalifa?
Of course.
Is it his choice?
Of course.
Is it only his choice?
Only his choice. My model doesn't stipulate that, no.
Okay,
And I
so show
want
me
you
a
to prove
single
it.
verse in the Quran where Allah says
Two
that you have the
minutes.
right to choose a Khalifa.
Yeah. No, I just made a negative claim. The burden of proof is on
You
me. It's not
cannot
you.
provide me a single verse, my dear brother, from the
La
Holy Quran that you
ilaha
have a right to
illallah.
choose a Khalifa.
Okay. Can I respond? I made a negative claim. You
Prove to
made a
me from
positive.
the Holy
Why
Quran
is
that
he
your
cutting
leader
me
can
off?
be a sinner.
Look,
Give me a verse.
mods,
Give me a
mods. He
verse
asked.
from the
Look,
Holy. Wait, 1 second, mods. Can you please tell him to wait? Give me a verse from the Holy Quran that your leader can be a sinner.
so have you left your last argument? Like this guy's
No, no,
jumping
I'm
from
asking you.
argument.
I'm asking you. Give me a verse from the Quran that your leader can be someone who can commit sins, both public or private. Because Allah says in the Holy Quran, He's removed all rijs from Ahlul Bayt, all impurities. One of those impurities is committing sin both in public and private.
Mhm, mhm. So first, your argument is contingent upon the Ahlul Bayt being the leaders. You haven't proven that. Prove it. Bayat, come out, prove it.
You're cutting
Show
out,
me.
or you're cutting out, or I'm cutting. I can't hear you.
I said your argument is
Isaiah,
So the
contingent.
sorry guys, there's some interference. I don't know whose side it's brother Uzayr. It was my
I
side. Can
think
you
it's
guys hear?
on my side.
Isaiah,
It's saying I'm
Isaiah's having
lagging.
a
Who's
problem.
lagging?
Jake, are you still on?
I'm here, yeah.
Hello?
Okay, go on,
Hello?
continue.
I'm able to hear you,
Hello?
brother.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, good. I said I was lagging. I was kind of. I said,
Give me
okay.
a verse
Look,
of the Holy Quran where Allah
this
says
guy's
that.
cutting
Wait,
me off.
wait. It's my question round, brother. You keep interrupting.
Yeah, but you
Give
asked
me
me a
a
question,
verse.
then you
Wait,
interrupted me, then you asked me a question, then you
it's my
interrupted
question. Moderators, this is not right. I'm asking questions. My question round, and he's not even allowing me to ask questions to him.
Yes, Isaiah, we've been through this already. It's
Yeah.
his,
No,
it's
Mod, but
his.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm saying he asked me a question. Before I can respond, he asked me another question. This
Yeah,
isn't a
he has the right
cross-examining.
to do that. That's the meaning of
No, that's not how a
cross-examination.
cross-examination works. You ask one question,
That's
the
how
person responds.
cross-examination
Have
works.
you ever moderated a debate? Jake, this is ridiculous.
Jake, am I correct in this being the way that cross-examination happens or not?
You have to allow him to answer. You can't ask a
Thank,
question and then cut him off in 2 words. Doesn't work like that.
thank you.
Okay,
So,
no problem, brother. Let me ask you a simple question.
hold on,
Show
no,
me
I'm
where in the
answering
Holy
your last
Quran.
question. Bea, I'm
Listen,
answering
I
your
know.
last question.
Listen, you have no,
Mute
no.
your mic.
Listen.
Mute. Bea, mute. Thank you.
Wow,
Now, I'm answering your question from the last
he's
argument is
gone.
to
You've
prove my
gone,
point.
you've
I'm
gone, you've gone.
yeah,
Listen. When he comes back, hold on a second. When
I'm
he
here.
comes back, hold on a second. You re-ask your question and allow him to answer. If he starts
Okay,
waffling for 20 seconds, then you can cut him off.
let me rephrase my question. Surah number 76:24. The verse says, "And do not obey a sinner amongst them." This verse is clear that you cannot obey a sinner. Now, the verse of Ulil Amr that says, "Obey those in authority amongst you," prove to me that your leader, who can be in authority, can be a sinner based on the Holy
Okay.
Quran.
Yeah. So which verse? 74 what?
76:24.
76:24. Let's mods deal with the time. We're gonna put up the verse.
Yeah,
76:24,
yeah.
right?
I stopped the timer. There's only 30 seconds left anyway, so this is going to be your
Anyway,
last response anyway.
yeah. So I've got the verse now. فاصبر
Go ahead.
فاصبر لحكم ربك ولا تطع منهم آثما أو كفورا. Okay. So be patient over the decision over of your Lord, and do not obey from amongst them a sinner or ungrateful. Now let's look at the context. Yeah, let us look at the context because this is where it gets juicy. So what does it say? It says, and they will be told. All this is a reward for you. Your striving has been appreciated, so on and so forth. Indeed, the Quran has been revealed to you in stages. So be patient in the decree of your Lords, and do not follow basically this fasiqeen or whatever. Now, I interpret this in our understanding. This has got to do with the sinful
I want the
disbelief.
Quranic understanding, not your understanding, my friend.
Yeah, but you're doing an internal critique.
I want you to
Brother,
Internal.
prove from the Quran
the
that a
time's
leader can
up.
be a sin. Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
The
time's up.
time's up. So you finish your response and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. So who's doing the He's doing the conclusion first because I started first, right?
Uh,
Or
you
was it the other way?
you started, right?
Yeah, I started.
Yeah. So you start and he has the last word, 5 minutes.
Okay. Fine. Now, first and foremost, Bayat hasn't answered any of my questions. The implication of his interpretation, the interpretation is that the Imam is calling to Jahannam and Jannah at the same time. That everybody is misguided except for the Imam. That the Quran and the Prophet, nope, they're not the guide. The Imams are the guide. What does the Quran say? The Quran is the guide. Chapter 17, verse 5. No response. He hasn't responded to how this contradicts the Quran. He hasn't responded to my counterpoints on the linguistic arguments that I've made. He hasn't addressed my Khilafah. He's cut me off. He's appealed to the mods, LRX, Muslim, so on and so forth, the audience. He hasn't answered anything. He's gone on to make these crazy interpretations of the Quran. And I've stripped it bare bone to the foundation. On what basis are you making this interpretation? Guess what? Still no answer. We go on to the straw man he's made. He's straw man in my argument that I accept that Allah is appoints the leader. He's saying, no, he's putting words in the mouth of Uzayr. You don't accept that. I read out my introduction, Habibi. Were you listening or are you not paying attention? طيب. Next point. I ask him about the etymology fallacy he's made. Imam means one thing there, therefore Imam means another, the same thing here. On what basis have you done that? You haven't proven that. You rolled the dice on the interpretation of Rijis. You haven't proven to me that your interpretation is fact. You're rolling the dice, just like Sayyid, he's rolling the dice. He's throwing his entire akhirah on the probability of what Rijis means. Does it mean all of these meanings or does it mean A, B, C, D? We don't know. He's making his own interpretation. He hasn't responded to my question on prove to me that divine appointment applies after the Prophet. Prove to me divine appointment applies after the Prophet. He hasn't done that. He hasn't responded to my contextual objections to the argument. He hasn't responded to the Hafs qira'ah. He takes Hafs only. He rejects the qira'at. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ تَأْوِيلُهُ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Pause. Nobody knows the ta'wil except Allah. And there's ikhtilaf on even what ta'wil means. Pause. Allah only knows the ta'wil in the Hafs qira'ah. No response in true Bayat al-Ghadeer fashion. What else are we looking at, lad? He hasn't explicitly proved them Ma'sumin. Nothing about this. And then he wants me to explicitly prove that you can choose the leaders and Allah can't choose the leaders, when that wasn't even my argument. Double standard, straw man, everything you name it, Bay'ah has done. Interruptions, you name it. What else? Okay. He hasn't responded to the knowledge of the Imams and the knowledge of the Prophet ﷺ being identical. He hasn't responded to that objection. He hasn't responded to the objection of Ibrahim being the guide for his uncle or his father. He wants to get into semantics. طيب, let's say the uncle. He hasn't responded to that. No responses to anything. I've asked him a million questions. He hasn't. The Mott and Bailey fallacy being done. He's hidden behind the Mott. Okay, which is the easy option, which is throw a bunch of questions at him. When I ask him all these questions, that's the Bailey. The Bailey has been left open, unanswered. Very immature. What else are we looking at next? He says, now using his interpretation, when he says, وَجَعَلْنِي وَزِيرًا مِّنْ أَهْلِ هَارُونَ أَخِي, and it goes on and on. Very, very beautiful surah. One of my favorite surah, Taha. That, now, it doesn't say Imam. Wazir doesn't say Imam. So we're going to have to throw away using Bayat al-Ghadeer's interpretation. When it says وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ, now we have to question Allah's what do you call it, morality here, because Allah is divinely appointing these evil leaders. Is Allah evil now? This is the Shi'i God, ikhwan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Shi'i God is an evil God. طيب, what else are we looking at? The Frankenstein cocktail of all the interpretation. Unconditional following of the parents and the unconditional following of the rabbis and his interpretation. Refuted. So yeah, this is all the points he hasn't responded to, and this is just
You've got 1 minute. You got 1 minute, brother. Are you done?
No, I'm not done. Yeah, sorry. I was just talking to someone. About that. So he
It's
hasn't
fine. Get
responded
your
to
help.
the
Get your help.
interpretation.
Uzayr, get your help.
No, that was my older brother who came in.
No, yeah, that's fine, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, but this is just to be honest, I do this as well. I can't even accuse Bayat of slander, you know. So he hasn't responded to the fundamental thing about unconditional following of non-ma'sumin, of the verses about them taking their rabbis as gods. Refuted that interpretation, no response. Refuted his counter-argument of the age of Ibrahim, no response. I asked him, prove Talut was Hujjatullah ala al-ard, no response. Prove to me Talut was Ma'soom, no response. I brought him the counterpoint because I knew he wasn't going to prove it, so I disproved it. I said to him, here's a prophet, he's the Hujjah, the people are going back to this prophet. The Bible says Samuel, whoever he is. Guess what? No response. Truly, a circus show. And I look forward to the next debate on the Sahaba. I want to see if he continues with this. Allah's morality being under the question, the Frankenstein interpretation. What else are we looking at, lads? That sums it. That sums it. Fallacies, you name it. All has been committed here, lads. All. وجزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Over to you, Bayat.
Sorry, I'm just finished. Can you give me 5 seconds while I write your last point down? Because I'll make sure I respond to all of them. Is that right, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sorry. Because he speaks very fast, so just give me a second. Okay, yeah, I'm done. Thank you. Yeah. So firstly, look, Surah 3 in the verse number 7, I believe you cited. There's no pause. All Sunni tafsirs validate both readings. Tafsir is only done by one qira. Ibrahim alayhi salam was a Nabi and was guiding his uncle towards a path. Imam guides also on that path. Nabis and Rasuls guide towards the path. Imams guide them through and on the path once they have arrived at faith. Totally different functions. In contrast to Ulil Amr verse, which is unconditional, unlike the verse that mentioned your parents. It says, obey your parents on the condition, so as long as they don't tell you to go against Islam. Again, the verse about the scholars. Allah saying about previous nations, the Jews and the Christians, they unconditionally took the rabbis and the monks as their lords, meaning that they unconditionally submitted to them. So this verse of obedience does not show any condition to any verse. It says, obey Allah, obey Muhammad, and those in authority amongst you. The question is, Uzayr failed to prove who the person is who's in authority amongst us, that who we obey, who is what? In ayat number 76:24, and do not obey a sinner amongst them. Meaning that the one who you obey cannot be a person of sin. Let me go quickly over the points I already clarified in my introduction as well. So what did I establish? Just to conclude, brothers and sisters. Allah is the one who has the right to choose only. Surah 28 verse 68. Who has the right to choose a Khalifa? Again, it's Allah who chooses a Khalifa. He chose Adam as a Khalifa. And again, Musa alayhi salam also makes a prayer that choose a successor from my from my progeny, not from my sahab. Okay, again, Surah number 35, 38. Allah is the one who chooses successive successors on earth. Again, Surah number 2, verse 247 about the case of Talut. Talut was appointed as a king. Even though he was appointed as a king, Allah gave him, increased him in stature and knowledge. The Quran mentions two types of imams. One type of imam of guidance, as Allah says, and we made from among them imams guiding by our command, by our amr. Surah 232, verse 23. Then Allah mentions about another type of imam, the imams you follow, the ones who will take you towards hellfire, my friend, the ones who you believe you can appoint amongst yourself, be it individual appointment or through your man-made system, your framework, or whatever you like to call it. Ibrahim was made an imam after first Allah made him a Khalil, he made him Rasul, he made him a Nabi, and then he made him imam over mankind. So his authority was over all the prophets in his time. As we know, Allah sent prophets in each nation, and there would have been prophets who were present in that time. Ibrahim makes a dua based on that verse, and he says that make imams from my offspring. And Allah says that he does not make imams from the Zalimeen. I clearly showed in several verses of the Holy Quran what the word Zalimin means. And again, you've not provided me a single verse of the Holy Quran that the leader that you have to follow can be one person who's essentially commits sin. Okay, I discussed the concept of zulm. I discussed also mentioned the verse of the Holy Quran, Surah 35:42, that you will never find any changes in the way of Allah's sunnah, nor will you see that power can turn the way of Allah from its appointed course. Meaning, you'll never find any change in the way Allah makes a decision. If He chose us leaders in the past, that means He must also choose our leaders at present. Again, Surah 13, verse number 7, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says very clearly, and every people has its guide. Now the question is, what is that guide? Surah verse 35:24, and there never was a nation, but a warner had passed amongst them. And brothers and sisters, I'm pretty much done. As you can see, essentially, what we've concluded is that the Shia concept of Imamah has been clearly established in the Quran. It's only Allah who has the right to choose the Imam. It's only Allah who has the right to choose a Khalifa. It's only Allah who has purified Ahlul Bayt. And as he says, he chose Adam, Nuh, Ibrahim, and Ala Ibrahim above all nations. So he is the one who chose the Ahlul Bayt. And as clearly proven from these verses, brothers and sisters, the concept of Imam is established, and we have to reject the concept of Saqifa.